We find ourselves in a vibrant, magical, and hand-drawn world filled with puzzles and mysteries to solve. We play as OGU, the hero of prophecy, who is destined to drive out the evil god that is plaguing this realm.
Oh boy, is this already a new phase? What are you doing? Oh, I'm almost said eat, OGU, eat!
And boy, do I have a treat for you today, as this is my first ever attempt at unlocking 100% of achievements in a game, while of course, also focusing heavily on the story. Hey, my lovelies, I am your humble ringmaster, Crowmeda, and say it with me now, let the show begin! Upon awakening from a grand dream of adventure, it's decided that we're off on our very own. Of course, our mother here reminds us to collect our hat and butterfly net first. With them, we receive a hug from Mama, gotta say goodbye to her, and head out into the open world. We seem to be in our hometown, and I can use my butterfly net to break items and collect drops from them. We greet townsfolk that are going about their day-to-day life. I enjoy the Skyrim reference there, and came across a bird, being himself and just skedaddling on away. Curiosity has me follow the little guy, and in the pursuit, we meet Doogie, our friend whom we call on for assistance with digging. Finding the path is blocked to the right here, I have to go off-road to see that crow again. Of course, I'm going to follow my people that do such a stylish dance right there. Thanks to Doogie, we can pass the dirt pile with ease here, and the bird led me to a dead end, which turned out to be a magical doorway. Where does it lead? I have no idea, but only one way to find out. And before we head on in, I do gotta say, the game has a cozy artistic style to it. Finding ourselves in a purple void upon entry, we proceed deeper within. A shattered symbol appears before us, separating into 6 others before warping us. Here we see a great landscape before awakening at the heart of the world. This is where we unlocked our first achievement. Here's also where an unknown voice speaks to us, apologizing for summoning us to this world without permission, but we are needed here. We are given a colorful feather and are to head to a village to the east where the sun rises. After receiving the feather, a monkey appears that is named Kiki, and Kiki states that the chieftain said a hero would come to save the world and that he has witnessed the arrival of said hero. It's at this point where we're able to access our adventure journal, along with our inventory and many other stylistic menus, and next to us seems to be a balloon vendor of sorts. We would love to be able to use these balloons to transport quickly throughout the sky, as the map is quite large with all these 6 regions, but we don't have a ticket to do so. So I can't fast travel yet, but what I can do is recommend y'all to play this game yourselves, as today's video is sponsored by Sinkhole Studios, the developers of OGU. As you'll be able to tell throughout this video, I was kept busy with tons of content, and I had a relaxing experience throughout, and was very pleased with my run. It gave me a sense of nostalgia while playing, back to a time where gaming was not overly complicated and stressful. And this is the best time to try out OGU, as your experience will vary from mine, as right now, as of posting this video, a content patch is out that improves combat greatly by adding mechanics like dashing and backstepping, rolling combos, a headbutt shield, which is sick, an improved critical system, which we all love, and improved collision handling, which is fantastic. For you to see more, I dropped a cheeky download link in the description for you, and of course, thank you to Sinkhole Studios for sponsoring this video, and in doing so, supporting the channel. Now, let's go check on OGU. I'm sure he's lonely by now. Moving east, we break some pottery to get cold hard cash, and moving upwards, I bear witness to a beautiful landscape where there is a painter named Maltese, who in short gives us drawing tools and would like us to draw at marked locations. Might as well get started, and bada bing bada boom, a new Picasso is born. After whacking bushes for money as well as a golden leaf, I continued eastward, but seems like the locals are keeping tight watch of us. And in this jungle, we find a tablet of sorts, so of course, I inspected it.
Once God's faith is shattered, the Pure One shall restore harmony. We, the monkeys, will guide the Chosen One. Okay, well, I'm here. You can come get me now. I'm scared.
Also, no surprise, we can catch butterflies, but seems like we need to collect 11 different species along our journey. And look at that, we just found a chest in the middle of nowhere. It has 500 gold, unprotected. Don't mind if I do. Moving on, we arrived at an impasse where a strong beetle shouts at us. In short, we need to pass our first puzzle if we are to face the jungle ahead. Thanks to the power of our whacking shtick, all we have to do is whack the statues to free up the path. This one only required a minimal amount of brain power, so it was easy enough to get through. So the strong beetle teaches us a new skill.
He taught us creatine. and weightlifting. Get them gains, little buddy, get them gains.
Because of this, we are rewarded with an additional 700 gold. We have no idea if that's a lot, but I guess we'll find out. By whacking fruit bushes, it seems you can also get food that heals you. More and more monkeys scurried away as we proceeded, so we must be on the right track. Having to now solve a multi-stage puzzle that required shoving boulders into holes in order to get to the statues that you need to whack in order to clear up the path a little bit further north, we actually managed to solve this puzzle rather quickly. However, there's a special fruit down below, so after a little bit more puzzle solving, I got to reach it, and turns out this actually ups my HP by 1 point. More money was stolen without a second thought as I reached a giant log bridge. I crossed it to reach the eastern canyon. Out of a mud pile here, some strange garbage monsters appeared, which I whacked, getting a filthy core from one of them. We'll figure out what to use these for later. Traversing the mud, I became dirty, which made some of my abilities restricted. The only way to get rid of this is to soak in a hot spring, which should also heal us. This fine chap named Bosong here is fond of them and tasks us to visit 3 other hot springs in our journey. To the right, there is an odd gateway with some statues, along with a fellow named Whitebird who needs a hand.
Now, if that isn't the face of a psychopath, I don't know what is.
He says that he thinks something that belongs to him is inside the cave, but he can't open the gate. We express that we also need to reach the village of the sun, and so he offers to show us the way if we can open up the gate and find his things. So after messing with the puzzle for a bit, I managed to activate the lock, granting us access. Entering, I see a monkey statue at the center of a crossroad, and behind it, there's a blockage that I need to pass. So I go on to solve the puzzle to the left. Here I upped my health to 5 and activated the system on this side. We moved on to the right, but this side was no puzzle, just more garbage sacks to whack. No one can stand before the mighty OGU. And just like that, we have access upwards now, where I loot a cleansing drop to cleanse our body when on the go, and some more fruit. And right after, I did get stuck in a boss room with a robot monkey who does not seem to do much. Even tries to avoid me a little bit, I guess, until it started to launch laser missiles at me and try to run me over like roadkill. It was easy enough of a fight, taking only 1 point of damage, so I just ate a fruit to heal up, which unlocks the overeating achievement in this case. Moving on, I saw a large temple with a red item at the center. Before I could grab it though, I was knocked out by those dastardly monkeys who dragged me off to who knows where. Turns out it was the village of the sun, my destination this entire time. The village chieftain is frustrated that we tried to steal their treasure, although it turns out the real chief is this little guy in the back here. As for the secretary, he did end up confiscating our special feather. The village chief, however, recognizes it as part of the prophecy that the one with the glowing feather will reunite the lost pieces and restore what has been overflown. We are given a task to overcome the trial of the Temple of the Sun to bring the chief the sigil of the sun. And you know, since we're here, we might as well add another drawing to our list of modern art. As for Whitebird, though,
Oops, sorry, my fault. That wasn't mine. Yeah, no kidding. That was a treasure in a guarded temple. Like, why would you think that was yours?
Here I also learned the traditional monkey dance from my instructor here, and look at me go! I'm an absolute natural! That is a skill that recovers up to half of my HP. As for Leo the lizard here, we are to find his lost brother who looks just like him. And as I explored the village in pure Pokemon fashion, we have our first encounter.
You gotta be kidding me. This dude over here comes out of a patch of tall grass, looking like a bug catcher trainer, says something that a Pokemon NPC would say named Mon Ketchum. You have to be kidding.
Yeah, it turns out he in fact does not want to fight. All he wants is a favor for catching a forest chafer. He wants one to be the very best that no one ever was at being a chafer trainer. Wow. Further up, a guard named Terrell says that he can sense the hero's aura on me, and thus asks us to help defeat the trash monsters. If we get 5 filthy cores, that should suffice as proof of completing this quest. Next, I spoke to a koala named Layla, who has an overgrown yard and just asked us to cut her grass, which I do, thus granting me some gold and a new friend. At their training site, I spoke to a gentleman at the fire named Commander Poco, and he wants us to bring him 5 explosive fruits, which seem to be their weapon of choice. At the market, I spoke to a rich monkey, who tasked us to learn the ways of bartering and earn 300 gold from selling items here. So I just started doing tasks here and there, like getting fruit and completing more drawings.
Sad turtle. That was depressing. Just, hey, that's it.
During my jobs, I spoke to the mask vendor. Each mask seems to provide different abilities, like this owl one seems to make you faster. With just enough gold, I purchased it, hoping to make my entire journey a little bit swifter, and just like that, we are now Owl OGU. I then spoke to some fishermen who taught me how to fish and gave us some bait too. All you gotta do is toss it out and then whack the fish as it leaps. Simple enough, really. And based on the number at the top, we have a lot of different species to collect. Some fishes also are higher rarity, so they come with this time event here where you gotta bash your controller in to get some high tier fish like this adamant one. I kept at it, getting all sorts of unique critters in order to get a head start in this process. They came in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Once I was out of bait, I went further north where another fisherman says that there's a legendary fisherman's hat that helps catch fish easier. He wants 3 rice fish in order to give us more knowledge on the topic. Challenge accepted, especially since he gave me some more bait. All this fishing is reminding me a whole lot of dredge, ain't gonna lie. With the 3rd rice fish caught, I handed it over to the man, and turns out he lied. He has absolutely no idea where the legendary fisherman is. He knows that someone knows where he is. We might get lucky looking around the light laboratory in the Moon Forest for further clues. To this person, we are to bring 3 jelly trout to continue the quest line. I then proceeded to catch 2 types of chafer bugs outside the village, so I returned to our friend Ketchum, and the forest chafer is exactly what he wanted, giving us 2 golden leaves as a reward. Hour 2 came in swiftly, and I decided to head up north to continue my adventure. I spoke with a wanderer by a large staircase, and he warns us to be careful of injury. He gives us a tip that if we are in an excited state, we can dance to restore max HP instead of just half. He also gave us some barbecue fish. How nice. And the fact that on top a pop-up came in, I can tell that we have to unlock a whole lot of recipes as well. Another apple was obtained, giving me 6 HP, and I began to ascend the wavering path into a giant temple, oblivious as to the dangers that lie ahead. Seems we have 3 blockages to solve. Moving left, we find a large garbage monster horde that seems to respawn when re-entering the area, but this works in my favor to get cores, I guess. As for loot, they drop food waste. Simply inedible. On the right side, I cleared a patch of grass, and based on the markings on the ground that I found, I can tell that it is a clue, but I'm too dumb to know what that means, so I'm going to just keep on going. I then entered a room that has some boulders along with a scale, which seems to be a puzzle that I must solve. And sure enough, after lining up the boulders from lightest to heaviest, we are granted access further. 1 statue whacked. Much to my dismay though, I entered a room with 2 monkey bots, but once you know how to deal with them, they don't pose much of a threat. After some restoring of health, I entered the next room with statues in different colors, as well as a new drawing spot. This puzzle seems to be a color mixing station, and well, having figured that out, presto, puzzle solved. With the 2nd statue whacked, I'm off to the final one. As for the final puzzle, it's a catapult minigame. This is incredibly sweet, I always loved artillery fire. And bada bing, bada boom, just like that, the 3rd statue is also whacked. So far, no filthy cores, but I did get a piece of cloth. And since I'm in the garbage monster room where I can see that seemingly unobtainable heart, my scriptwriter 7th points something out to me. That clue that I saw by the grass, yeah, that was for this, to walk through the boulders. So just like that, another apple is obtained. I love my team. Back at the center hall, the main gate is now cleared, and so I entered without a second thought. After clearing this room of garbage monsters, it seems that I need to make a pattern here. After whacking them for a bit, the monkey face on the floor is happy, and so we continue. In the next room, I noticed that some villagers were watching me. Seems like the final trial is up ahead. Behind me, from nowhere, a portal appeared, which will help me teleport to a nearby village in case we are lacking any items. This will be important for all boss battles. Knowing this, I went into my inventory, added the barbecue fish to a quick slot in case I needed it on the go, and so prepared for battle.
Oh boy. Dear Lord, he's got 6 arms. Lucky for me, I am great at using a catapult. I am an absolute natural. Woo! Oh, that almost got me there. Dear Lord, that was close. Okay, I can see what you're doing, Mr. Monkey Man. I can see what you're doing. However, you cannot best me, you foul demon. Triple hit right there at the end. That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. Okay, I like that. I like that. That was actually kind of interesting. I like how we had to practice the mechanic for the boss to solve the puzzles that were on the way to the boss.
Moving up, we reach a beautiful open scenery where the sigil of the sun awaits us. And just like that, we finished our first objective. And with this item obtained, we are teleported back to the chief, and he mentions that the Pure One shall collect all the shattered fragments of God and save the world. For context, where we spawned into the world, that's where we have to place the sigils upon retrieving them. That being that of the sun, moon, water, earth, fire, and tree. Together, these forge to become the heart of the world to my understanding, but going everywhere is too much of a walk, so the chief gives us a ticket and a map to traverse via air balloon. Wasting no time, I went back to the express, and now we can see the map. The section we are looking at right now seems to be the entirety of the jungle region, with much still left to explore. By balloons, we travel to the heart of the world, where I place this sigil, granting us our first sigil-related achievement. And also, 3 pathways are now open to us by making 3 bird statues disappear. Kiki appears once more, who brings us something from the chief, a key to a house that they prepared for us. There we can enhance our equipment and grow plants to help us. I gotta say, getting a house in this game is much easier than getting an apartment these days. I can't complain. 10 out of 10. While exploring further south, I met a horned fellow named Koku. We listened to his story, and it turns out that he's an acolyte of Bat, the divine beast of Earth. A long time ago, everyone worshipped the divine beasts, but they disappeared and no one believes in the ancient beings anymore. The beasts stored power and totems throughout the world, and only the Chosen One, or those who worshipped, can harness this power. And because we are the Chosen One, Koku will help us learn to utilize this skill. A new magical menu appears before us, along with a totem of abundance. In short, the better fruit we eat, the more damage we deal. It is the chief priests that can unlock slots for us to use more of these totems too. We are to meet these chief priests across the land, and Koku takes his leave to the Temple of Bat. I made sure to slot in the totem that we got, hoping to unlock the rest soon. Moving further down, I met a traveling cat who said that to the west that he spotted a lizard practicing swordsmanship. We get the location marked on our map in case we want to visit. There was also a fruit vendor here to whom I would sell some trash items. And then a new fellow piqued my interest. I spoke to a chef lizard named Gordon, who thinks that we are a spy to steal his recipes, but quickly snaps out of whatever the heck that was. He is the best chef in the world, he says, and wants to prove that Western cuisine is above all others. We can tell that there's another chef named Olive who thinks that Eastern cuisine is better, and so he wants us to get a special recipe that he thinks is the best. It also offers a portable frying pan, so we can start cooking ourselves. From there, I cook a adamant fish, alive I might add, together with a golden leaf, but this recipe fails, so I gave it a second go and was prompted with a mini game, like a cooking Guitar Hero of sorts. I thought that I was really great at this game because that's like my entire childhood, but I failed, making more food waste. But let's just say that that was intentional because that was an achievement, so I guess it all works out. I tried it again, but just made more food waste. I guess the culinary world is just not for me, so let's just keep moving. Here's where I stumbled upon a little village. However, it looks like it's seen better days, but there is a clan called the Leftover Clan that seems to be helping the people here. The folk here don't seem very optimistic, though. I have a feeling that that clan might not be trustworthy. Just my gut feeling, but they seem to be located in the Snowflake Village, so I guess we'll meet them at some point. I ended up arriving at a nursery school later on and was baffled by the odd deer peeking from around the rock. I tried to ignore that sight, but seems like this is all just filled of tiny animals, which seems fitting, I guess. This is a nursery after all. So we helped the sloth here with his game of hide and seek, and thus we began to round up all the little deers and cats that we spotted. Also had to tip over their sandcastle to assert dominance, but that unlocked the rascal achievement, so I guess we are a little bit devious after all. One after another, the kids were brought back to the nursery. Cotton candy was found in a box in the middle of nowhere, likely inedible, but tasty regardless. And then I went further up, looking for the kids, where I came up upon a bizarre tree, and the rocks here seemed to be moved in odd ways. I drew the scene before me, honing my drawing skills in the process, and the tree trunk is in fact a branch of the sacred barrier tree that I think is the one in the middle of the map. We then headed back down to look for the children, unable to find them. So logically, my first instinct was to report this to the teacher, but this person here was either completely unaware or did not care that the children were lost. So I decided, screw it, I'm going to find the rest of the children later and moved on, because I'm not going to be the only one here that cares. I then spotted dogs training. Leg Day Puppy here says that a beetle that he met on the way to the Moonlight Village taught him what he's doing. As for this knight here named Sir Jindo, he tasks us to practice landing 50 critical hits. A mad scientist by a campfire wants to study conditions to the body and asks for us to get dirty, poisoned, along with attack and speed boosted, while excited, all at the same time. As for this clown duck here, he asked for 50 pieces of information about monsters around the world, and considering that we are at a camp, I drawed the adventurers here to remember the moment, and then continued on south to a very stylish swordsman, the Vagabond Cat, who seems to have slayed this desert-themed creature before us. Makes sense since the desert is like right next to us. But as for the creatures, we're told that they come in all sorts of variations. Before moving to the desert, I did spot a secret central cave with glowing rocks. We will be back for this eventually once I can scout it out, but before getting ahead of myself, I decided to go to the Moon Forest, since all of the quests and information I have been receiving lead that way. On my way to the Moon Forest, I got some portable balloons to travel on the go, and further up spotted Whitebird crying. Again, he thinks his stuff is in the forest but keeps getting lost, and even though I don't like it, we gotta help a fellow in need. However, just at the entrance to the forest, we speak to Olive, the chef that Gordon mentioned. She also claims to be the best chef in the world, and just like Gordon, she wants to show that the Eastern cuisine is best, in contrast to his. And well, I guess we have 2 cuisine-related quests to find old forgotten dishes. To kick off hour 3, I hopped into the Moon Forest, where we're met with a cutscene of a lovely purple space when eyes begin to stare at us from a void. No idea what the heck that's about, but either way I caught some new chafers, and I noticed the plants here light up, which is a nifty little detail. Shortly after, I found my first puzzle here, so I got straight to work, and it seems to be missing some pieces, so I investigated the area and found a statue that once hit made a sound, delivering a new piece to the puzzle in the center. The pieces seem to relate to these here paths on the side of the screen, so with some moving around, I unlocked the east one and got a new butterfly in this process. Moving along, I found a bug villager seemingly dazed by a red glow. I removed this blob here, and that seemed to snap him out of it, and he says that if not for me, he likely would have been a trance until his own death. He asked us to help the other villagers in similar situations. Moving a bit further up, there was a champion beetle that warned us of the dark maze that lied ahead, but honestly, navigating through it was quite easy, and once we reached the fellow, we're given a new skill, the ability to lift rocks. This is gonna come in very handy. And just like that, the beetle takes off, leaving us behind, but a path lights up, allowing us to leave this space. We are then notified that lifting mixed colored jellies will divide them into their primary colors. After doing some more puzzles, I managed to open up a brand new gate, which upon entry leads to the Moonlight Village. To get things started, I freshened up my artistic skills, completing a drawing of the region. After which I spoke to a bug named Vivi, who mentioned that this used to be the primary home for bugs, but their guardian, called the Silk Moth Hero, disappeared with the sigil of the moon towards the north. The whole Moon Forest became quite devastated because of this. We agreed to hear the story of the hero, and in short, fragments fell from the sky, evil troops went for it, the hero, who was thought to be the chosen one, faced the evildoers, and ended up swallowing the piece of the moon. He ended up being victorious, but was in uncontrollable anguish. Beating the evil also caused the Moonlight Forest to be caught in a forever gloom. Just like that, we are tasked to go to the Moon Temple in the north. As for a bug named Mimella, they simply say that poison conditions will drop our health, but not past 1 HP, and thus gives us an antidote should the worst come to happen. A bug named Letty is curious about an old folktale of a gourmet ladybug, and if we are to bring information on it, we will be rewarded. A bug named Laddie goes on about the architecture of this town and would like us to collect roof tiles for him. And since I'm here and this is a new biome, I decided to buy some new bait to see if I could get any new fish species, which worked out as I started with a goldfish, followed soon by a catfish. All sorts of bizarre creatures were being caught here, and after some practice I was getting a hang of cooking as well. With that out of the way, I decided to head north in search of the hero, getting all sorts of new ingredients along the way. At this intersection, it is clear that these bug statues represent people that we're going to meet, so we will figure this whole puzzle out later. Proceeding to enter the ruins, I discovered quickly it was going to be much more difficult as it is completely pitch dark. So I went back from whence I came and headed off to the left first, reaching the Light Laboratory, which was where we're supposed to get clues on the legendary fisherman, by the way, though the workers look pretty beat. The chief here is quite worried. The hero seems to be on a rampage, causing the lights to hypnotize the workers, and his minions seem to be causing issues. People at the jelly mining farm had to evacuate, but the chief's son is still stuck at the power plant further below. We are offered a useful tool if we go and rescue him, so of course we accept. A worker named Crick, I'm not really sure. Either way, he says he lost his job because of all this commotion. All he wants though is his pickaxe back so he can get work again. Conveniently, we get to learn how to work with explosive jelly, which will come in handy later on. I then continued further south where I got to learn how to use a furnace. All you gotta do is time this whole process correctly by putting a rock in, wait for the lights to light up, and bada bing bada boom, you get different kinds of ores. But yeah, just grabbed a drawing of this area and then proceeded to get every single type of ore I possibly could, and then later reached a color jelly puzzle. It became apparent very quickly that the roly-poly is not fond of my presence, as it was chasing me down relentlessly. I was able to pass with a bit of cunning and collected a herb of wind and some fancy roots, and later discovered that I could stun the roly-polies if I put them in the right colored light. I made the color green and entered a new area with explosive jelly, collecting some stone along the way and some roof tiles that I'm going to be collecting for that side quest. I then blew my way on downwards, almost killing myself in the process, and new enemies were here like cactus turrets that I disposed of. There is a poison variant, but luckily we did get some antidotes for this. And you know, I could have gone about this whole puzzle here intelligently, but I decided to face tank pretty much the majority of the plant attacks and just went onwards, and later found the pickaxe for our friend up above. After whacking some more bushes, I got the lawnmower achievement. Super glad I've been whacking every single bush that I came across. But about this cave, in the section below, I could see the chief's son dancing in the stupor because of this darn flower. The generators also seem to fail, causing an emergency in the plant, so we need to get out of here before everything collapses. Don't you worry, OGU is on the job. This is a timed event, with the timer going down on the top of the screen. No pressure at all, really. If I destroy the energy cores, I do lose time, so hey, a little bit whoopsie on my part. I need to focus though. Thanks to quick intellect and swift decision making, we reached the chief's son with no issues, and thanks to him being out of his hypnosis now, he was able to stabilize the power plant, so crisis has been averted. And you already know this place had me filling out another page of my coloring book. We've been making pretty good progress in the Moon Forest, ain't gonna lie. Moving along the new pathways, I got a new butterfly for the collection, and then I did some fishing in a pond here, hoping for new species. I got some jelly trout, 3 of which we needed to get more information on the legendary fisherman, and turns out our friend here seems to be the contact mentioned prior, so with more bait in hand, we kept at it as long as we could, catching the 3 jelly trout in total after just a little bit. I moved to turn them in, and turns out this one is also pretty much a big fat liar. He claims to know someone who saw him last before he disappeared by a cliff near the southern storehouse of the jungle outskirts. I wandered over to the mining farm office next, and all sorts of numbers and doodads were to be found here. Thankfully, an exit there allowed me to get back to the moon village, which is quite convenient, but I was unsure as to what I needed to do. Like seriously, this puzzle had all sorts of stuff, like different charts and different floors, and there was numbers and a thing on the floor, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, but I somehow got it to work. I have no idea what I did, but I guess good job me. That there granted me access to a secret room with a diamond inside, and of course I was going to steal it, and once I did, I saved 2 elderly folk from an eternal life of dancing, so I'm doing my part. I was able to reach one of the special apples as well, upping my health even more. Side notes, I've always had issues catching the beetles on the trees, and apparently you just gotta sneak up on them, so I now know how to continue this collection. I then handed the pickaxe over to Cricky, which made him our friend. He can dig for us, and he granted us some fruit jam along with some gold. We also unlocked furniture, reminding me that we do have that house to visit that we were gifted. As a reward for bringing back the chief's son, we get a miner hat to see in the dark. I already knew what I had to do, but first, I explored a new cave in this area which had a giant mirror on it. This whole process involved using the mirror to color coordinate buttons to bust my way on through. And thus I began to progress this puzzle in hour 4, and although disorienting, it's very satisfying when done correctly. Just like that, the mirror was shattered, granting me access to the back end, where I stumbled across more of these monk-like creatures that are not happy to see me. Good news though is that whatever their attack is, I can bounce back at them. In the center, I did collect the silk moth crystal ball, and apparently it's a hat. This is damage oriented, but for now, I just kept equipped the miner's helmet as I'm heading out of here and straight to the dark cave that we found. On the way though, I spotted a helpful sign for that puzzle down below. This granted us access to another apple too. Now, back to that dark cave. Now in this ruined temple area, I'm able to see, and I was able to make my way through with some ease. I passed dark spaces and battled my way past priests and noted that green water poisons you. I then soon found myself in an underground cavern with exploding bugs, but they are not too bad to deal with. And you know, thanks to our new friend, we are able to progress through difficult terrain now. A new hat was found later on, that of a jelly bomb, but it causes damage to the owner as well as to the surroundings. So By blowing my head off, we progress onward to get a few extra coins. And you know, I'm going to be getting a lot of coins here and there from quest rewards as well as chests, so I'm not going to highlight those further on. You get the point. Eventually, through pathways that seemed to be leading me in circles, I got to this semi-disabled turret section where I had to move my way on through without getting completely blasted, but sure enough, I made it through and made it to the Temple of the Moon Crossroad. I saw our friendly crow here who brought attention to an odd statue, so once I was done drawing the scene of the area, I moved on over to inspect it.
That didn't tell me a whole lot.
I concluded that the 3 statues to my right here were the answer as they are facing east, and sure enough, that there did the trick, giving us access to the spiral pit where we saw the eyes in. Are we ready to face certain death as we descend downwards without a worry in the world? I don't think so, but either way, as soon as we entered, we noticed that we are in the Moon Temple and are to defeat the fallen Silk Moth hero. But before that, we are tasked with another puzzle. Each of the 4 corners needs to be completed first. By using the right color combinations, I realized that the light prevents the turret shots from passing through, sort of, and presto, with some work, that was a statue whacked. Moving on, I continued to do the exact same process for all of the remaining sections, and based on this here portal that I got, I am about to face the boss. In preparation, I healed up and equipped my Silk Moth Crystal Ball for combat. The hero's guard appeared before me and proved to be quite the adversary, not making it easy for me in the slightest. Thankfully, I just barely managed to defeat him, and it was a tough fight because I actually didn't have any healing items. I then ate cotton candy to get excited, then fully healed with my Dancy Dance and moved on to the top right. Thankfully, I managed to get to a total health of 10, and a statue had a warning to not break the sacred barrier. Seems like the fallen hero sealed himself away in order to protect everyone else. He didn't wish for the fragment to fall into the hands of the evil ones. Proceeding to the top left section, there are tons of light balls zooming around that will damage you upon contact, so I was zipping and zooming to kill the sources of these lights, and thus completed the room and ate more cotton candy to do the same healing trick. And man, that was the most damage I took in one of these rooms by far. Now, with all of the sections complete, it's time for us to head up past the main gateway and face the powerful adversary known as the Silk Moth hero. As we enter his domain, he says that he does not wish to harm anyone and asks us to leave, but we press forward. So, let the boss fight begin.
Yeah, that's the eyes that we saw. Okay, fallen Silk Moth hero. Ooh, Okay, so this is just like a game of tennis. Oh, did this activate? Oh boy, is this already a new phase? What are you doing? Woo! Okay. Now I broke the red one. That should make you stop. There you go, buddy. Yeah, there's the damage. What you gonna do now, son? Green. I keep pressing the analog stick and that opens a menu. Quick, dance, OGU, dance for your life. It depends on it. Okay, I need to find the green bug. Whoop. Come on, die. Heal. Dance, OGU, dance. Dance, my boy. Nice. Honestly, very fun. I like that one. I enjoyed that. I mean, I didn't want to kill him because I understand this dude isn't a bad dude, but here we are.
The Silk Moth thanked us as the voice controlling him finally disappeared. With a flash of light, we are teleported out of here, and there he explains that he was not strong enough to be considered the chosen one to defeat the trash monsters. By consuming one of the fragments of God, it caused evil intentions to come forward within him. He believes that we are in fact the chosen one, pure of heart, mentioned in prophecy. So because of this, he decides to give us the Sigil of the Moon. That's another one off the checklist. The hero doesn't have the courage to face the people of the Moon Forest and wants to return the favor and thus becomes our friend. To save time, I took the Balloon Express to head back to the heart of the world in order to put in the sigil. And there we go, we completed the Darkness Begone achievement. Now, I was certain of one thing, I wanted to visit my house, but I wasn't sure where it was. Last I recall, it was somewhere in the jungle, so I explored around while seeking for it. I ended up stumbling upon the jungle outskirts, which seemed to have a military outpost. The troops stationed here were mercilessly attacked by trash monsters recently, and asked that we find Monk Goda, who knows how to solve this issue. This place is stocked with cleansing drops as well as baths to heal from the upcoming fights, so I went out searching for the monk and collected cores along the way and then came across many new variations of trash monsters. And this journey took me far and wide, cleansing the areas of the trash monsters, and even got to traverse the cliffside, but this took a very long time. It seems like there's also a lot of combinations of monkeys on the wall here, which might be important later on, so I'm going to take note. I ended up in an area that seems to be part of the Bat Temple, which had a puzzle to solve. By randomly moving around the rocks, I was able to enter the canyon passage where we met Goda. He mentions that we must have seen statues like these before at the hero's house, which I still haven't visited, so I can't say that I have. My bad. He goes on that God was broken into pieces, causing the evil god of trash to emerge. The three divine beasts had joined together to seal the evil god, and after doing so, caused themselves to disappear. Areas like these are built to honor these beasts. Now, when it comes to information on how to get rid of the trash, we need purifying water, but he lost the key to the storage where he had some. Likely, he misplaced it at the cliff of the canyon. If we find the key, we are to head to the storage, which is further north. From the tablet, all we can tell is that Bat is the beast of the earth, Enki of the sea, and Rano of the sky. Also, I am very glad to see that this place is full of money and food, which is always very welcome. As I'm doing my voiceover, I'm realizing I'm probably desecrating a holy site, but well, I can't go back now, can I? After using explosives to clear out some monsters on hour 5, I continued forward, managing to find the key that had been mentioned, as well as figuring out the next puzzle. Upon leaving the canyon, I began to head north as instructed, reaching a blockade that lets us in upon realizing that we have the key, and seems that the biggest problem of the trash here is to the right gate, where a polluted monkey golem is on a rampage. It is close to breaking into their most sacred place, called the Remains of Memory too. And a little side tangent here, the person that had seen the legendary fisherman last is right here. To learn about his whereabouts, we are to catch a solar fish, and knowing that this could take some time, I started right away, and this kept the collection growing, and it surprisingly took less time than expected to catch the targeted fish. I'm a natural, what can I say? So we are told that the last known location of this mysterious figure was at the north end of the desert at an oasis. We are then given a note that might be correlated to the markings left on the wall here. Back to that golem though, it's time to brace for battle, and upon entering the arena we see this corrupted fiend, and upon entering the battlegrounds, our backup arrives. The battle begins, and I quickly made note to pay attention to the areas that he attacked, as they have aftershock damage. I also very quickly came to realize that he has wave-like mud attacks, and if that's not all, he also spawns a horde of little minions. And yes, poor little OGU did meet his end, as I was a little bit overwhelmed on information there, but we were preparing for round 2 right after. This preparation had me looking for a fire, and I went on a spree to unlock new recipes and cooked up healing items in the process. And I quickly took note that different food items have different effects on them. Going in for round 2, it is as insane as the first time around. I had to hyper-focus. I wasn't even saying a word as I was zipping around the battlefield. I was breaking water barrels and launch stones to clean up the robot while dealing with the enemy spawns and his attacks from the air and the aftershocks as well as the mudslides. I swear, it almost feels like I'm doing this fight too early for my run, but what do you think? Leave a comment down below in your opinion if I should have waited on this.
Oh, that was tough. Oh, man. I had to focus hard on that. What?
After that, I reached the sacred sanctum and met Gota here at the statues of the deities. Here, a secret is hidden, and the monkeys are not allowed to enter. This secret is that there are not 3, but 4 divine beasts. The hidden beast is named Tau, and it resembles the monkeys. He served to teach the animals, and apparently the eternal flame in our home is a relic gifted from this deity, but again, I have not seen the house yet, but I'm sure we will soon. Sadly, he did turn evil for unknown reasons, which led his descendants to become vulnerable to corruption. That there unlocked the Truth achievement, by the way. After drawing the statues here and catching some new fish species, I decided it's time to visit our home. Apparently, there's a whole lot of useful stuff there, so let's check it out. And apparently, I was misinterpreting the message on its location this whole time. Apparently, it's been in the Sun Village this entire time. After getting another drawing of the jungle done, we continue and encounter another bug catcher named Red, looking at me eye to eye. That means you want to help me, right?
Chafer battle is booming these days amongst us kids. I think watermelon chafer is the strongest, but it's really hard to come by. Will you please catch a watermelon chafer for me? Bro, I already have like so many of these. Take it, okay? I got some seeds. Sure, just take my watermelon.
Shortly after, we finally reach our humble abode, and inside, heard Kiki shouting from the basement. Down here is where all the magic happens, because this is where the eternal flame is located at, and it'll allow us to grow crops down here. We can also operate the construction machines for decorating, and there's an extra chamber further down as well. This unlocked another achievement, comboed with a monkey helmet, allowing us to punch incredibly hard. But this is a secret between Kiki and us. Apparently we're not supposed to have this. First things first, I ended up planting some crops because I can assume that these are going to give us some useful items for cooking and completion purposes, and then checked out the upgrade station. It requires all sorts of random items, but from what I can assume, we can make some of our hats more powerful. I then started placing items around that I found interesting, made some more crop plots, a hot spring, and many other miscellaneous items. I know it's a bit messy, but we're going to fix it if needed later. As for the final robot here, as long as we bring new materials, we're able to change the general look of the building. Upon entering the lower section, it has a lot of statues, and after touching the center stone wheel, I'm teleported to a storage area. I explored it for a bit, but came across a museum, led by a fellow named Gogo. Apparently, he prepared all of this for the arrival of the chosen hero. We're able to travel to this location at any given time without consuming a balloon, which is great. But more importantly, this is where we can deposit all of our collection items, and what's just so pleasing is whenever you put something in the displays, these little symbols grow more and more, leading to open this magical door, and it's just very nice. This pleases me. It scratches a very, very nice part of my brain that makes me happy. There are also artifact rooms that we're going to need to fill, and I have no idea where to get those, but I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. While we're in the Sun Village area, I did purchase the remaining masks, which clues Orang in that we're keen on them. This makes him our friend, and he gives us his very own mask that completes the Mask Artisan achievement. And you know, since I'm at the market, I figured might as well sell enough items to make 300 gold because we did have a side quest for that, and upon completing it, receive an additional 300 gold.
Oh, there it is! Speak of the devil!
That was just sheer luck that I chose to peek the corner to find that explosive fruit. I was looking for that thing for ages. I brought it over to Commander Poco, and he becomes our friend because of this, and he can crush large rocks, and also gives us a mask. More to the completion it is. To keep the quest spree going, I went hunting for a filthy core, getting a new butterfly in the process, and I was just grinding these trash monsters for ages. I was losing hope and was about to quit for the time being, but I finally landed the final core. All good things come to those who wait, as they say. As I was on my way to hand it in on hour 6, I met the mad scientist where with a machine I turned food waste into medicine, along with very special fish dishes. Don't ask me how that works, I'm no chef nor scientist, but it was filling my recipe list nicely till it eventually overheated. I then managed to catch a leaf dragonfly, which goes straight towards the butterfly collection list. Upon reaching the village, we could see Ketchum and Red battling it out, and then I turned in the filthy cores to Terrell, granting us a warrior mask and a hefty paycheck along with his friendship. I then managed to catch a bombardier beetle and found my way to a heart apple that I had been eyeing for quite some time while grinding out those cores. And I noticed that none of my friends know how to clear cacti, like in this specific instance, so I conclude that the desert is our next trip to find someone able to do this. At the nursery, I made a small pit stop and managed to find one of the children for the side quest, only one more to go to complete this. But before hitting the desert, we also took a dip in the spring by the adventurers' camp. That's 1 out of 3 completed for that specific scouting mission. So with all that out of the way, I waltzed on into the desert under blazing sun and had a vision of the temple along with the sigil of flames that I am to get. The area seems quite desolate, but hey, look at that, a new bug. There's also a sign that indicates that races happen in this biome, and I spotted a pair of footprints leading away from a not so obvious door. These led me to a deceased explorer, and from what I gather from them, there's a camp with a password somewhere, and so I tasked myself to find it. An earth beetle shouts at me to halt as I progressed, another mentor, perhaps. He wishes to teach me his skills and tasks us to reach him. So I equipped the warrior's masks and made my way, though these foes appeared to be immune to my attacks, so I just slipped on past them. Upon getting closer to the beetle, I was attacked by a giant cactus monster that nearly destroyed me. It was quite the adversary, and after some face tanking, we obtained a Mesitas peeling, thanks to our victory. Upon reaching the beetle, he teaches me the ability to dodge roll, a very handy skill for sure. I then found another deceased explorer and got a note with markings and a number. I made sure to note these in my notebook. I then found a note soon after from the legendary fisherman stating to continue north to find him. And the discoveries kept on coming as I stumbled upon a shelter in a cavern. I would use its fire to unlock a few more recipes too. As I continued, I was attacked by very odd worms depicted on these here cave walls, and I just wandered around like a headless chicken for a while, realizing that this place is like a maze. The place was confusing as I found an area with a mouse statue blocking a path, and I concluded that logically the way to activate this has to be found within these caves, so I wandered through rooms that were marked in skulls and found more of these giant worms, but they're not too hard to dodge really. Sadly though, I could not find the activation point. All I got was some fruit, so I'm gonna come back here later to solve the cave's mysteries. So on the surface, I tried to proceed until I found a very big boy, so dangerous that I am not permitted to approach it. With that, we went on back looking for a different path, but kept bumping into the same issues. All I did manage to find consistently were explorer notes with numbers and symbols, and you already get it. I'm going to collect these all and they're going to become important later. In my search for answers to this place, I found a glowing armadillo down there, and it shall be mine, but I just can't reach it for the life of me. I'm assuming that that is a totem. After stumbling upon more and more big boys, I figured the only path that I could take was in this cave that was near the bug mentor, and inside I ended up finding a shrew archaeologist. He's quite happy to see that we aren't a cactus monster, and together we actually head on out and pop up at the Temple of Fire. The sigil is located inside, which is blocked by the head of a hippo. Turns out a lot has happened here in the past, and he can't just let us through. In order for us to pass, we need to find the Shrew's civilization and use their technology to fight the monsters inside. This is a problem as not even the archaeologist knows where to find the village to get said technology. All he can do is hand over dowsing machine, which reacts strongly when near relics of the Shrews. He also hands us some cactus monster spray and becomes our friend. I made a drawing of this handsome hippo fellow right here and began to look around once more and learned how to use the dowsing hat with some quick dance moves. For example, here I unlocked a treasure with a health fruit. I then continued the dowsing search and found the little crow friend again in the cave. I just followed him along and got to a part where I danced so hard with the dowsing hat that the wall here caved in. Which is great, because that there granted me access to the Shrew village. We're brought on over to their captain, this fine gentleman here with an eye patch, who stands in front of a freaking mech. They want to repay the debt to Lord Hippo for protecting the Sigil of Fire, and this mech was built to fight all the big cactus monsters that we've been seeing. There's a slight problem though, they need a sample of their enemies to complete the Mecha Shrew. Funny enough, they need a peeling, which we already have, but also need a spine and a heart. We then speak to their head researchers, who gives us some information on the three variants, being their location and their weaknesses. Another researcher approached me, and he actually offers to mark a location on the map where the priest is located to progress our totem quest. So, before taking my leave, I made a quick drawing of the mech, and as for this pangolin person here, he got here from the Flame Village by accident, and the Shrews won't let him leave. Apparently, it's for his own safety with those cacti monsters out and about. And he doesn't really mind, but his main gripe about this place is that the food is incredibly bland, so he gives us a task to get him some salt. To better fit the vibe here, I bought a cowboy hat that apparently lets me fire a bullet, and wrapped up a little bit more business here after that. As soon as I took my leave, I began to hunt the red cacti monster, finding a volcano hat in this process. Basically, this means I can place landmines with this one. Up next, I ended up in a room filled with statues. Not sure what to do here just yet, but we'll be back. My search for the cactus monster continued, having to fight all sorts of monsters of all shapes and sizes along the way, but upon reaching the surface, I began to harvest salt by making these bull bugs smash. A bit further north from these bugs, I did actually find a lava zone, which seems quite intriguing. Proceeding into my 7th hour, I could tell that a boss was nearby, so I whipped out my cowboy hat, not knowing how to use it, and just waltzed straight on in. Turns out it is the blue cactus monster. And you know, he does have a couple of cheeky combat moves to him. He makes these lava rings and makes these rocks shoot up with some aftershock damage to try to get you, and I can only hit him when his head isn't covered. So once I got an understanding of how the fight works, it was pretty easy. Upon its defeat, not only did I get the item I was tasked to get, but also got a drawing of this here hot spring, and upon taking a soak in it, that's 2 out of 3 down. Later I came across Alma the Armadillo at a racetrack. It seems like I found the Flame Village where the races were happening that we read about, and I gotta say, the races do seem quite deadly. We're also presented to the other racers, most of them some spiky fellows, except for Cheeseball. He's just a hamster at a ball. And there's also this naked mole rat, so what more can you ask for? Alma will also be participating in this race, so upon paying the entry fee, I took part in the beginner level. By dodging and weaving, I made it all the way to the finish line before the others, landing first place easily. There are more difficult tracks to beat, so I decided to talk to the other racers first, and even made a new friend in this process. I then faced the intermediate track, where I face tanked the last bit since this one was a close call, but I did just barely manage to come in first. That is another victory under OGU's belt. Since we are on a winning spree, of course we gotta do them all, so after wrapping things up here by making a couple new friends, I decided to look for the hard track. However, there was another big boy blocking my path, so that's just another one of the multiple reasons to get this mech up and running. While trying to figure out how to get to the final cactus monster, I got back into the mysterious statues room, where I decided to dance on them, and seems like that triggers something, but I still have no clue what the correct order of 3 is right here. So I just continued to search the caverns and found a guard. He assumes we are here to defeat the cactus monster, which in fact we are going 3 for 3. So in preparation for combat, I decided to go back to my trusty silk moth hat and broke my way into the beast's cavern and initiated combat immediately. This one really likes to send out spike waves, and they do hurt quite a bit, and his mechanics were quite tricky. I got absolutely decimated by his combos first time around. I know now not to underestimate this beast, so I switched back to the warrior mask, increasing my melee when in range, but I was still getting shredded. Although not perfect, it seemed the monkey hat was doing a good job on my 3rd round. The biggest issue is the one spike that chases you no matter where you go. I even tried to whack this dude from the back, but that was no good either. I even tried to lure the spikes away when possible, and a crit hit did come in clutch, but as close as this one fight was, I risked the biscuit too much. So after that, I was resorting to all sorts of different tactics, like damage increasing food. Needless to say, I was tensing up, and finally though, at long last, after a lot of fighting, I defeated the beast and got its spine. I can't say that I beat it with skill, I was just very stubborn. So I teleported back to the Shrew Village and completed the mech research. Now we are tasked to defeat the giant monsters. Thanks to our efforts, the mech is finished, and to control it we are given a pilot's helmet. Before I took my leave, I handed the salt over to Pango, and that was just great because this dude, now being our friend, gives us the ability to cut down cactus like we've wanted for so very long. Now, about those giant big boys, I equipped the pilot's helmet and entered the mech Gundam style, getting a quick brief rundown on how to pilot this hunk of junk, and I just have to select which to target first. So, we focused on the one blocking our path to the Temple of Fire, and just like that, OGU is ready to rumble. We breach the surface, and thus, our battle commences. Sadly though, I only got the first one to half health before I died. A total user error, by the way. I admit, I didn't really figure out the controls. So let's try that again. This time around, it was going much smoother. It's just a matter of blocking and punching, and occasionally, you get to charge up power and fire an energy beam. Honestly, beating this giant cactus monster took no time at all. But yeah, that is 1 out of 4 beat. The shrews can now return to the surface, and the chief will help us prepare for getting that sigil. And like that, we're back at the hippo, and with that, he can safely open the path for us. The leader is waiting for us inside the cave, and we also notice some auto turrets nearby that are powered up by whacking them, so now that we understood that, we proceed further in. In one of the side pathways, I did end up finding a welding helmet, which helps charge turrets even faster. I also got some fangs and a random chest, and then entered what seems to be the boss area. Within, we see the Sigil of Fire, amazed as we gaze upon it. But our fellow Whitebird has followed us inside, and what devious things are happening in the mechanisms of his mind is anybody's guess. Here's when we get some reinforcements from the shrews that are going to help us with the extraction of the sigil, but Whitebird just rushes it, claiming that that is his. He pokes the shield, which causes the entire place to explode. As we awaken, we see 3 holes appear in the walls where trash monsters will sprout out from. So, it's our duty to hold the lines until more reinforcements come to back us up. In short, we are about to participate in a wave defense mission, and they started flooding the place immediately, and honestly it wasn't too bad at the start, but the difficulty increase per wave was noticeable. I had to use boulders as well from time to time to try and block their path, and as the waves kept coming, so did my barrels and turret reinforcements. Even with all that and my welding helmet to speed up the charges, we were starting to get surrounded and outgunned by the end of it. It was only thanks to the leader arriving with mini-mechs that they managed to save the day. With the coast clear, we are now able to grab the Sigil of Fire. As for Whitebird, I have no idea where he went off to, but he's going to suffer the consequences of his actions very soon, I hope. Back at the Shrew village, their leader becomes my friend, and the logical thing to do to wrap things up here is to continue piloting Mecha Shrew and defeat the remaining giant monsters. This one had a new mechanic. It ends up damaging you as you punched it, and I was very close to winning. I just needed one more hit, but I just couldn't land it. I learned about his ability too late. Round 2 was different though. Honestly, I clapped this dude so easy it wasn't even a competition. As for the third one, it's more of a volcano looking dude, and I just barely managed to beat him on my first try. I didn't really realize what his new gimmick was, but it is no problem for the great OGU. The final contender is this yellow mass, and it was tougher as apparently only my charged lasers end up damaging him, and he also seems to be able to heal by quite a bit, so all that caught me quite a bit off guard, but you know what they say, knowledge is power. Beating him on second try is no problem is what I want to say. I actually ended up getting obliterated a second time. But do you know what people also say? They say that third time is the charm, and thus it was so. Upon its defeat, we finally wrapped things up and unlocked the achievement Mech Warrior. We were rewarded for our efforts by all of the scientists here, and before I forget, since I have so much cash on me, I decided to buy the 2 hats at the shop to progress my collection. And to complete this hour, I decided it would be best to head back to the heart of the world to place the sigil that we had just got. And just like that, the Cheers achievement is complete. I returned back to the desert on hour 8 and headed further north now that it's safe to do so because I'm looking for that legendary fisherman. And yes, I did find this very picturesque body of water at the north, but I need more clues to find him. I kept snooping around the caves in search for answers, finding some new items along the way, but I was unable to find any clues, so I decided to head on over to the Flame Village to complete the races there. The only one remaining for me is the highest difficulty one, and it is a smidge extreme. I did end up failing because absolutely everything and everyone was purposefully being in my way. And note, everything when it touches you damages you, even the other contestants. Second race was no different, so I tried it a third time, but this time I got a much better starting location, giving me the advantage. I also got a little bit worried because I noticed that you can't heal during the race, and I had been taking quite a bit of damage, but I just barely managed to get first place, and with that, the achievement Need for Speed. Now I can take some time to draw in peace here and explore the surrounding areas, but with not much left to do in this village, I went and spoke with Alma again, who has a reward for completing the races and gifts us a party hat and becomes our friend as well. Admittedly, I wasn't too sure what to do, but I remembered that I had the dowsing hat. I put it on and ended up finding this fellow with a staff. Turns out he is the chief priest of the desert. He mentions that trash monsters invaded the Sky Crocodile Temple, which is why he fled to these ruins. He asks us to clear the temple of enemies and hands us a slate on how to open the gate there. The temple he mentioned is likely the statue room in the Underdark, so I went in that direction, but kept finding more things, like this magical statue that appeared before us. It is incredibly pretty, so I had to draw it and completed the final drawing of the desert in the process. In my travels, I found another area with a semi-activated door, which was very interesting. I don't know what I did to progress it, but we'll come back later. Once I reached the Underdark, and with that the statue room, I had a look at that slate that we were given. Based on the information on it, I have to dance on one with a snout with mustache, one with wings, and then one with a long tail, so I danced on the dragon, then the chicken, and then the snake, which was in fact the right combination. This granted me access further down, but it was getting a bit spooky down here with mummy balls, but I beat them no problem. And this does seem to be the location the chief priest mentioned, since once I beat them all, I decided to pop on over back to the priest with my portable balloons, and as promised, he amplified the powers of the divine beasts within me, granting us a new totem slot and becoming our friend. But I wasn't planning on leaving just yet till I found that legendary fisherman, so I went back north with the dowsing hat considering its utility here. And sure enough, upon dancing, a temple entrance appeared from within a pond. This is called the Oasis Chamber, and leads us to a set of puzzles to get a heart apple. So I would begin to work on solving these puzzles, as well as getting through booby-trapped paths. Just like that, a new apple was obtained and my health increased, but still no sign of that fisherman. To be honest, I was quite stumped on how to find him, so I went back to that not-so-secret doorway, remembering the bone patterns from the notes I was getting from the explorers, and I hit the bones of this ribcage in the correct order that I had written down, and presto, I got entry in and this place was plundered immediately. I also got the final heart of the desert too, which feels incredibly nice, but still there's no legendary fisherman. In my confusion, I stumbled back to that strange doorway, and only one symbol needs to be lit up. The problem is, I have no idea how I lit them in the first place, so I kept looking around while trying to figure this out. As I did this, I wandered to the temple and noticed there was a spiked helmet that was still not retrieved. I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised by how much content is in this game, and that's not even considering the fact that as I release this video, even more content is being pumped out as we speak. The only surge of inspiration that I had to continue is that I remembered that the legendary fisherman left behind wall markings as we saw by the waterfall hot spring thing, which the caves have more than enough of, so I might as well check them out. I actually paid attention to them and spotted one that was identical to that we had seen. I whacked it, which was the logical thing to do, but nothing happened, and then I tried to toss a fish but couldn't do so, so I ate one, and that there opened a secret passage, granting me some treasure. We're on the right trail, I know it. I had to repeat this process quite a few times until I found a large passageway, and at the end of it, I finally found him. He's a peaceful panda next to some magical water with a big old fish in it. They seem to be having a laugh at his past experiences, seeming pretty chill, the two of them. As much as he came here to catch the fish, he apparently became friends and just couldn't throw the hook at it. In short, he offers us his hat, which will help us catch rare fish, unlocking the achievement related as well. As for our fishy friend over here, it recognizes us as the chosen one and says that it was born to protect all fish, but thinks that we can use fish for greater good and gives us bait. Kind of feels weird getting this considering the source of the gift, but you know what? It's some big old magical fish. I ain't got the time to question it, I'm just gonna roll with it. As I went into the next hour, I went to deposit all new items into the museum since I've collected quite a bit. Also harvested the bushes in my house, getting all sorts of new items. I redecorated for a bit before heading back to the scorched earth that was the desert. My dowsing hat was going ballistic out here, and I ended up finding a sky crocodile statue. It didn't do much, but it kinda looked like the last remaining symbol on that mysterious door we found, so I headed back that way to investigate, and sure enough, the archaeologist achievement was obtained by passing through. And conveniently enough, this brings us straight to the spiky hat that we saw, which deals damage when rolling past enemies. Now, the only remaining mystery that I could think of the desert is that armadillo that we saw. On my way there, I did manage to catch a crocodile chafer, but I just couldn't figure out how to reach this armadillo totem. I decided to take a break from investigating this and got to work on getting new recipes in the meantime. I then called up a friend and figured out how to use the gold leaf that we have and made a gold leaf piranha dish. I just couldn't get that armadillo out of my mind though. I returned thinking maybe I'll try dancing on it just one more time, and I could just conclude that the only way to get across from this pedestal to the next to the armadillo is if I somehow get a hat related to the god Rano. As I was thinking what else I could do to wrap things up, I decided to head towards some of the old cactus barriers that we could never pass. Turns out in this area there are even more monkey bosses, and the dodge roll helmet is coming in super handy. Although, I gotta say that this place is a little bit more difficult than others. This backtracking was worth it though, as I now have all of the hearts of the jungle. Even got a new beetle species, and then decided to test the legendary fisherman's hat. It did make the time events much easier indeed. I then decided to investigate the central village some more, arriving at a landfill. Exploring this place, I noticed the leftover clan once more on a beach, helping more civilians, and then soon found an abandoned mine. Inside were some minecarts, and upon giving them a ride, I ended up on the opposite end of the central forest, allowing me to unblock that one passage that I saw under the adventurers camp. So that's a plus. It also has statues of the gods down here, it seems, and it's a place where people can restore memories and peer into them. Turns out I am not alone down here though, as a tree trunk-like monster grabbed a hold of me in an interesting battle, And it was so confusing that I actually died before I even really understood what happened, and I even went back there and died a second time. This thing hits like a freaking truck. The trick, though, is to not get touched by the balls that it shoots. Even here, we did find some symbols of the god Rano, but died once more. This place is a little bit tough, no kidding. And yes, I quickly came to discover that the right hat for the right occasion is the difference between life and death. I continued to explore the pathways to see what all I could uncover in this excursion, and I was excited. I found the entrance to the snow field that I've been hearing about, got a quick drawing of the place, and then spotted a monkey agent. Apparently, many of the monkeys of the Sun Village have been leaving, and this has been caused by an unknown group. I can already tell this is caused by the Leftover clan, but supposedly this incident is also related to the Sigil of the Earth. I guess we can't avoid it any longer. We're going into the snow zone. Upon entering this biome, there are bizarre balls being transported and animals that seem to not be doing so well. Here I get halted by the Crusher Beetle at a frozen pond. We need to cross the ice to reach him, but joke's on him. I did plenty of these kinds of puzzles in Pokemon, and within seconds, we were face to face. Because of this, we are granted a new skill which is used to headbutt stuff. It breaks not only rocks, but also enemy shields, as well as can be charged up and used to break open frozen ponds. Nearby, I spotted a grandpa and just sparked a conversation with him, and we might jog his memory on the Earth Sigil if we bring him some firewood. We also spot some bear guards transporting these weird white balls, but seems like they're up to no good. I collected some firewood because there was absolutely no issue with this headbutt skill, and because of retrieving it, he ends up actually having no information on the topic due to his old age. I'm not surprised. I don't know what I was expecting. But he tells us to ask Paul in the Snowflake Village for more. And you know what? I guess we can wear a bonfire on our head now. What other hats are we going to find? I asked myself. Hour 10 began by busting open a pond to do some fishing because, you know, new biome, new species. After that, we wandered into the Snowflake Village, where we heard a bell ring. The mayor here has some powered-up guards, and congrats the people on meeting their monthly quota. Apparently, they are developing some sort of machine called the Snowstorm Regulator, but it was supposed to be done months ago. The civilians are not happy with the amount of progress, but because of the powerful guards, just decide to zip it. Here's where we are noticed by Paul, who turns out to be a detective who's investigating the regulator. He leads us to a private room to talk. It seems like one day it just started to snow like crazy in the village, which closed the fishing holds, so they ran out of food, making them reliant on importing fruit. That is when the current mayor appeared with the white fruit. I'm supposing that is the white balls that we've been seeing. They did solve the food problem as it grew in snow, and because of this, he became the mayor in power. He is also now mobilizing the villagers to mining labor to build the regulator, but it is a very shady and secret project. We need to find evidence on this matter. 3 pieces need to be brought back to his HQ. Outside, by a white fruit stand, the salesman sells the stuff but is told not to eat it. He'll tell us information if we bring him 5 file fish. As for the long-lost cousin of Rudolph, named Dolph, he lost the ornaments of the Winter Festival. Seems like he dropped them in the crystal mines. We will be sure to retrieve them for him. Up next, a fellow marked a location on my map relating to some information about the divine beasts in the snowfield, and a snowman beetle was caught as the exploration continued. I was just collecting some more drawings and species for the most part at this time, when a fellow named Kari asks if we're going into the crystal mines here, and asks for a favor if we are to do so. There's something called ice crystals in the mines, and would like if we could bring 5 of them for him. I'm heading there anyway, so I popped on my mining hat and went on in. I explored through dark passageways, and as I looked around, soon found an ice hat allowing me to summon a snowstorm to slow enemies. Deeper in, I found the foreman, but he is too busy to give us any information on the minerals here. He is stressed out because of the blocked pathways. Since he's in need of help, he'll tell us what we want to know about the minerals if we clear them for him. Doing so was no issue at all, though there were quite a few of them. This place was quite pretty too, so I whipped out my coloring book and got some clues on gems that I'm going to need for the collection. Once the pathways were freed up, he tells us that the minerals have the power to control the divine beasts. At least that's what the old texts say. The higher-ups are who are telling them to do this, and he even gives us the ancient record of the information. That is one piece of evidence for Paul. Much deeper in the cave system, I found a Viking room. Turns out it has a large Viking statue in the middle and asks us to undertake the trial of the Vikings. I accept it, and this is a unique battle scenario. I only have 1 HP and have no hat, but after beating all the creatures here, we hear a device activating somewhere in the distance. Trust me, this Viking cave is going to be very important down the line. But either way, for now, I talked to a jeweler that gave us some information and some tools on how to get gemstones of our own. I actually got a diamond on my first try, and it was quite fun, and I'm sure the exhibition in the museum is going to do well with this. Up next, I got those 5 ice crystals from these boulders that I was to get for Carrie, and once I brought them to him, in exchange, we got some money and got him as a friend who can crush big ice chunks, which is perfect because I have just the job for him. Carrie made quick work of this block of ice, and so I was able to get access to a new heart apple. I went back to Paul and deposited the piece of evidence I had collected thus far, and then went outside and continued to learn the land and got another drawing in this process. Also, you can be sure that I bought the hats at the store here because I can already tell we need to collect them all. I also found the ornaments that Dolph lost while exploring around, so I got his side quest out of the way, and he is very pleased, giving us an antler hat as well as his phone number. Making friends left and right has been no issue for OGU at all. I then had a very nice fishing session where I ended up catching all 3 file fish. I brought them over to the quartermaster in exchange for information that he had about the white fruit. He doesn't really know where they grow the fruit, but knows they bring them from behind these doors from a mountain somewhere, so he opens up the gate for us to investigate ourselves. Upon advancing the winding trail up the mountain, we get notified that these powered-up bears can only be beaten if we remove their shields with our headbutt ability. So, I guess we have our work cut out for us.
I have to make a quick note. This whole area, again, I don't know who's going to fully understand this reference, but feels like reaching the God Wars dungeon in RuneScape. If you know, you know.
What I do notice going further up are tablets referencing Rano, and though his temple is in the desert, part of it seems to be here in the mountains. My goodness, these winds do make traversing the mountains quite difficult. In a small cave, there is another Viking challenge, which I completed with no problems at all, and then we went further up to the Sky Road, reaching the Temple of the Sky. I drew it real fast, and this place has quite a few pyramids, and it seems each building will have its own puzzle to solve. To my surprise, there are wizards here who augment the trash monsters, and they look a whole lot like that leftover clan. Turns out they are researching the god of trash, so they've been up to no good. They mixed its power with an apple, and that's how they grow the white fruit, so I guess we solved that mystery. They even have poor civilians growing this stuff. Traversing the area, I was whacking Rhino statues along the way and found a hidden heart apple. Don't mind if I do. We also read that the white fruit is the cause for some of the bears to become dumber, larger, and submissive, perfect for the mayor's secret intentions. I also was excited to have caught an aurora butterfly up here, and the left side of this place seems a bit more like a laboratory, and from what I can read, the scientists here were researching how to build an airship. They also seem to be researching shrew technology as they have a turret system set up, so I had to work my way around that to not get absolutely filled with lead. I was then working on another ice puzzle and it was solved quite swiftly, and the final statue was punched, so now I can get access to the main temple. Upon entering, I find a man named Kupu with some minions. I'm assuming that he's the leader of the Leftover clan, and with that, assume I gotta capture him to get more answers. These enemies seem to be layered when I fought them, but they're still no match for OGU. At the center of this entire place, we can see an obelisk of the corrupted deity being constructed, along with what seems to be another totem. I quested on, and as I decimated their ranks, I whacked statues until I spotted monkeys worshipping the god of trash that has united with Tau, the corrupted god.
Glory to the Leftover clan. Yeah, no kidding. I knew that from the get-go. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you gotta die.
Further down the temple, we find monkey residents being held captive, where Kupu appears yet again. He seems to recognize us as the Chosen One. He goes on saying that the village of the sun is shrouded in lies, and he does say that Tau is beneath the heart of the world, bound by seals and indwelled within the god of trash. With all that mumbo-jumbo out of the way, we continue to fight while trying to get keys to save the poor prisoners. The most frustrating part of this is that the enemies respawn as I'm trying to free the good people. So I decided to ignore the aggro and go for the ones that drop the keys to get out of here as quickly as possible. The enemies vanished once the residents were freed, so I guess that did the trick. One of them even swiped a document, a contract which turns out to be evidence number 3 for Paul. I got the Totem of Wind right after, which increases our speed if we take damage, and I am now completely done with this temple, I believe. Turning in the third piece of evidence on our 11, we are now only short of number 2, so I proceeded to search for it and went further west where I encountered a small little bear who asked if we could help make a 3-layered snowman. Seems to involve moving these snowballs around, and just like that, bada bing, bada boom, Frosty is made. As a gift, we receive a warm hat and some gold. Further north, I did find the chief priest of snow frozen in a block of ice, so it's our duty to melt the surrounding hot springs in order to free him. This didn't take all that long, and I even took the time to record this beautiful moment, and then proceeded to speak with the fellow. He performs the little dancey dance, and as a thank you, he unlocks another totem spot to assist me. Thus, we became the bestest of friends too. I then found a cave that had a blocked passage, and I feel like this has something to do with those Viking statues that we've been facing, so I'll come back to this later. I continued on to new sections, coming across a warning sign about a research facility. This is definitely where we will find some evidence. After beating my way on through, I began my investigation. I did manage to beat this bazooka dude, but the reinforcements were simply too much for me. A second try, however, proved to be successful. While running around the guards, I entered another Viking cave, which was completed incredibly fast, so upon exiting, I ran south and arrived at a research facility which sounded the alarms as, well, in all fairness, I am intruding. My little birdie friend is here too, so I know that I'm on the right track. He even points out a place where I can sneak in. What a devious little dude. Here we gotta do an infiltration style mission by staying out of view of the guards and making it through the maze. Once completed, I reached what seemed to be a giant diamond, and although I don't know exactly what a snowstorm regulator would look like, I assume this is definitely one. Out of thin air, I got the blueprint for it, which is the second piece of evidence. The bird then showed me the way on out, and with that, the infiltration mission is complete. I made a drawing of the site before leaving and quickly made my escape by taking a minecart out of here. And just like that, the last piece of the puzzle was submitted. Paul will be revealing his findings to the village thanks to this. All we need to do now is to ring the bell at the center of town for everyone to gather. As the bell is struck, the villagers gather around and little old Paul faces the mayor in verbal combat. After a back and forth, it's revealed that the mayor is allied with Kupu, the follower of the trash god. In short, it was revealed the mayor was manipulating everyone, and what was being built was a divine beast manipulator. He surprisingly admits to all of this, but he has a goal even further than that, he says. He hops onto a tiny little UFO thing and dares us to chase him as he leaves at lightning speed. It's up to us to save the day as we burst through a gate chasing him, arriving at an airfield where the mayor says his goal is to conquer the divine beast, Rano, and with it, dominate the Celestials. They'll drop filth from the Sky Islands and imbue the whole land with the power of the trash god. Supposedly, they already captured Rano, and as he leaves on a giant spaceship, we are left to face Kupu.
You wanna go? I got freaking grilled gold piranha to have an excited state of over a minute and close to that in melee damage increase, okay? And not only that, I got 3 fruits of strength for 20 HP a pop. And for good measure, I'm just gonna equip my spike helmet because honestly, this thorny helmet is like the best. I absolutely love it. And why did I just eat it? Cleansing. Let's go, buddy. And he can shadow clone himself. Okay, we are off to a rocky start. Okay, so we're off to a rough start. I can admit that, okay? I'm not gonna be here and pretend like I'm the greatest fighter of all time, okay? But OGU is. Woo-hoo-hoo! You see? And you know what? I think it's time to eat that grilled gold piranha. So I'm going to beat the ever-living hoo-ha out of you, alright? Now this isn't that bad. He's not that bad. He's not that hard of a fight. You just gotta keep running. But you can only hit him once per and what is this mechanic? Oh, I can't hit him. Whoa, 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 whoa. They changed size. They changed size. What am I supposed to be doing? Oh, that was juicy damage, and I'm gonna just eat full just to be safe, okay? Because I've been talking a whole lot of schmack, and it would suck if I don't beat him on first try here. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Oh, now he's got 3 shields, and he's got air support. You know, villagers, I could really appreciate some backup around here. Oh, he hurts real bad. Okay, so I understand the difficulty in this because you need to hold still to bash him, but you can't really ever hold still because of the air support. Oh, they freeze. Oh, they freeze. Oh, they freeze. Okay, okay, noted. That was unexpected. I did not see that coming. Go, go, go. Go, oh, go. Ah! He hurts even when you just, like, look at him. Ow! Owie! Ah! He's stomping me. Okay, hold on. I need food. I need food. I don't have food. I'm gonna eat some jam, because that makes sense. I got, like, no food. I got absolutely nothing. Okay, easy now. Thing is, he's almost dead. There it is. Boom, baby. First try. Did I waste all of my good food on this? Absolutely, but I don't care. Yes, you did in fact lose to a kid. You lost to OGU, so don't feel too bad. Anyone would have.
Upon our victory, our friends approach from below. They are quite upset with our enemy manipulating things from the shadows, but we are to hurry to protect the Sky Beast. Turns out that the agent monkey had hacked into the spaceships, and we would have been able to take this ship to catch up, but of course, Whitebird had to mess everything up, the little psychopath that he is. With that option discarded, the only way up is what the agent calls the traditional way. Also, Paul is our friend now, by the way, just wanted to make that clear. Awkward place to do that, but either way, I'm glad we're all on the same page. But before chasing, though, I was smart enough to cook up some food first. Once fully healed, it was time to give chase. Balloons haven't failed me yet, so I'm sure that they will take me to where I gotta go. Turns out, it's not a spaceship, but it's a big old plane. I need to destroy all the major parts of the airplane without dying. It wasn't really that hard, just you gotta smash the devices and, well, try your best to not fall off the plane. Another crucial part is not get hit by the mayor and his sneaky little devious attacks. After some dodging and headbanging, we destroy the ship and descend Rambo style down to the Sky Islands, where the mayor crashes right beside us. His last resort is to activate the self-destruct device to take us all down together, but this is when Rano, the divine beast of the sky, intervenes, capturing the mayor. At this point in the story, as we have now seen Rano, we unlock the according achievement too. He had to keep himself hidden due to the mayor's plans and is aware that we saved him. Because of this, he bestows upon us the Sigil of the Earth. Rano then mentions some of the evil followers might continue to defile these lands and asks that we vanquish them when we can. For now, he will reserve his powers before the pivotal moment, he says. With that out of the way, you bet your sweet Bippy I'm going to draw this magnificent being and realize that we are on a different map now, past the snowfields, which is quite interesting. Since I'm here, of course I did some sightseeing, but was notified that in order to reach the next islands, I'm going to need Rano's hat. But to get to it, I need to prove that I am worthy. I need to pass his test somehow by hitting the statue to fill it up in time. But honestly, at this point, it seems impossible. I can tell that having the right tool for the job is going to help. By that I mean the right helmet and setup, but for now, I simply headed back to the heart of the world and placed in the Earth Sigil. 4 out of 6 are now completed. I was unsure where to go next, but as I was running around, a new altar appeared. I dropped into it a fang, and a gold trash monster appeared, netting me a lot of coin, but these altars are going to be the key to my success. I then decided to wrap some more things up in the Moon Forest by breaking through areas that I couldn't before, and of course, there were quite a few. I even caught a moonlight fish down the line. This is also where I caught the attention of some cleaning bugs, who apparently are hyper-fixated on cleanliness. Apparently, they believe that some dude named Sir Blanc is the chosen one since he is incredibly clean, but notice that we are even cleaner, so we follow them to the Dusk Village. Here we meet the fellow, and we are to bring him a dusk flower if we are to prove that we are in fact the chosen one and not him. While I was trying to complete this task, I did catch a new beetle, by the way. Also, while trying to get to the flower, I entered another mirror cave. This one was quite easier to solve, so once taken care of on hour 12, I arrived at a caterpillar mask. Once back at the cleaning bugs, I opened up a portal by sacrificing a bug, and in this pocket dimension, there is just so many of them. Apparently Rano made this space knowing that we're trying to collect stuff, and this is perfect. You can only catch one bug at a time, as you can see here, but this is going to help our completion greatly. I wasted no time at all turning this new bug into the museum and updated every single display that I possibly could. There was a whole lot for me to deposit, and honestly it's just so satisfying. Also turns out that the colored fruit that I get at random from my farms are also for the displays. On that note, I collected some brand new ones at the farm. While I'm here, I updated some of the decorations because as you progress with the story, you get so many options that one could go ballistic with interior design. Once I got the fruit display updated one more time, I headed back to my task to find that dusk flower, where I managed to make my way through a thorn vine maze thanks to my miner's helmet, and then got the flower. On the way to hand that in, I made my way to the bug dimension once more, and there caught a maple beetle. Once I returned the flower to our friend here to show our worthiness, he says that our next virtue to be tested will be measured with a game of tennis. He did say aloud that he rigged the match, but I'm sure that we're going to win regardless. So I took part in a tennis match, and it's a bit hard to get the hang of for starters, but you know, it's not too complicated once you get into the flow state. One just has to consider that the ball gains speed with every whack. But once I beat my warm-up match, I challenged the master of tennis himself. It was a fierce battle of wit and speed. He was putting up a valiant fight on the field, and I got utterly humiliated. And in the rematch, he gave me a 5-point lead. I beat him this way, that's all that matters really, but I kind of felt bad with him giving me a handicap. It's like a backhanded slap in the face, so I stuck around to beat him without losing a single point.
This button, man. No! Come on, I hit that. Come on! What? I hit it just too late. What? How? What? That's bullshit. This f***ing menu! Yes! Finally! There's my tennis master achievement! Ha! Whew. Oh, my hands are sweaty.
I do gotta say, this took much longer than I cared to admit, but hey, I got the achievement and decimated the poor fool. Due to Blanc's utter amazement, admits to pretending to be the chosen one because of his clean underpants. He admits we are the chosen one and gives us his hat. All it does is make the underpants of other bugs glow up, so I don't know, I guess I'll take it. Though his subjects still continue to praise him, he lowers their quota for cleaning a day by 30 whole minutes. What a good guy. For completion's sake, I went back to the Moonforce village right after, where I bought the 2 remaining hats, and a bit further up, where the Beetle Master statues are, considering I have seen a few more of them, solve the puzzle, unlocking the 5 Masters achievement in the process. I did also find some new zones I had yet not seen before, and then before hopping into the bug dimension, caught a Jade Dragonfly, and so once I hopped into the dimension, caught the red one. So that's back-to-back new catches. In this area, there is also a fancy fountain that I made a drawing of, which was the last drawing of the Moonforest. It also has the final roof tile for our side quest and some hidden treasure. So I completed the tile quest next. And the reward of this one is actually quite important. We got a hat that when wearing it puts us in an excited status 24/7, which is great for passive healing. I also got their phone number. To the right of the statues was the path that I had not visited yet, granting us access to the Cave of Gourmet. This is where the Gourmet Ladybug used to live, so we found the location to complete another side quest. The notes have riddles on what orders the jellies should be, and during all of this, I also managed to get a new gemstone, being the opal. After deciphering the riddle, the order was placed, letting us go down a hatch where there were tons of coins around a corpse, and there we got a chef's hat. I brought this to our friend in town, and as a reward we get an aromatic fish steak and friendship. To end this hour, I headed back into the bug dimension and carefully stalked the surroundings, catching an icicle chafer here. And since I got so many new catches, I was sure to deposit them in the museum immediately. The next hour, I wrapped up some things in the snowfields. For example, the Viking cave is now unlocked, so I got the Viking helm from it, which is incredibly good for combat. I then decided to venture on foot to the next marked location, that being the ocean biome, as I would likely come across new things along the way. And it was so, as I found a dude named Tucker who collects filthy cores, so logically we got a quest to get these, and then found another altar where I popped into the bug dimension and got a new beetle there. Up next, I came to this body of water with a puzzle involving some floating logs, and it did take quite a few tries to solve it. This one was a little bit tougher than the others, and after burning through almost all of my neurons, I finally got across and ended up discovering a ruined Bat temple. I drew it first, and I really wonder what happened to it. I entered to find out more, and more of these evil trash monsters just littered the place. Deeper within this place, I did find clues from older explorers that using a dowsing machine might prove to be useful here, so I slapped it on and it was so. After progressing here, I was able to get past some burning puzzles, and after solving many mazes and multiple puzzles, I unlocked even more paths. Somehow, I ended up getting into a boss battle too later on with the Sand of the Evil God. As you can tell, this one is a doozy and a half. Even had a sand line attack which just sucks everything in, plus laser beams that covered the entire room. First try, no shot of beating it, but even my second attempt proved to be fruitless. As for the third try, I started off strong and encountered a new mechanic where he launches dirt balls, but thankfully, after a very long intense battle, I beat this amazing looking boss, possibly my favorite, but more are to come. Because we can now proceed, I eventually reached a catapult section where I used holy water balls to clean a bot statue, which required more puzzles on the other side of the temple to be solved. Solving these mushroom puzzles was really fun. I enjoyed my time with it, plus it's very pleasing to the eye, but once I completed it, I stumbled upon a second boss.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Where you at? Ah, there you go.
This fight centered around destroying flowers to defeat the center boss, while avoiding new intense engagements each wave, until it gets to a point where it fights back itself. After intense dodging and weaving, but most importantly whacking, I beat this boss in the end. This allowed me to finish cleaning the Bot statue too, which was a tunnel to the center room, where Bot, the divine beast of the earth, presents himself before me, thanking us for purifying his shrine. He asks us to meet him at the heart of the world to speak with us there. I recorded such a historic find of a place, searched around, and also plundered my first Divine Beast hat. I then caught a fire chafer from the bug world and began to explore around the central forest once more because I still have to fully meet him yet where he told me to go. On my travels, I stumbled upon a red glowing tree, and this section is called the Sanctuary. I am definitely going back here later, but for now I made my way into the cave by the glowing trunk that we spotted some time ago, and entered thanks to the power of friendship. It seems to be a dead end for now, so I leave to continue my journey elsewhere. In this case, that being the house at the landfill, where upon entering, I called upon my friends to dispose of an oddly placed ice blockage. It is evident that this place belongs to the Leftover clan, and seems they believe that the trash god is buried under the landfill, hence why they built it here. After solving some electrical puzzles and also collecting a plunger hat, was able to proceed further down. I defeated many enemies, and things just kept getting darker the deeper and deeper we descended. However, I was able to now figure out the dead-end cave, as it apparently leads down here. I'm kind of glad that we figured that out. At the bottom of this pit, it does seem that Tao is sealed here and possessed by the evil god. A lot of the trash that they have collected here apparently is also from Harbor Town. Noted. By spotting some symbols under the trash piles, it was a matter of time before I solved this puzzle. The rewards is 3 fallen cores, and although not great, saves me some grinding time for Tucker's quest. But I did end my hour on a lighter note as I caught a new chafer for the collection. I changed my pace a bit on the next hour as I traveled to the crystal mines and the snow biome, as I decided to spend time there trying to get more gemstones. But what I found is a portal to the bug dimension, and there set my sights on the final tree bug that I needed.
No! That was the one I needed!
Because of this, I settled for the sun beetle instead. After some more mining, I ended up getting my first ever pearl, so to just stay on target, I figured it would be best to continue getting gems in the central forest, where I immediately got a peridot, then hopped into a bug dimension and caught the beetle that I missed. I also then completed the critical hit quest and got a knight helmet because of this. And would you look at that, not long after I got an emerald too. And yes, you can already guess there's 2 gemstones per biome. And you know, since we're next to the desert, I popped in over there, where in the under cavern I got a ruby right off the rip on first try. And shortly after, got the garnet. And you know, we might as well keep this spree going, so I went to the mines of the moon forest where I got an amethyst, and up next I teleported to the jungle where I got a turquoise. There, also in the bug dimension, caught a Rudolph chafer, and then decided to make a pit stop at the museum to deposit all my new findings. And I actually completed one of the bug exhibitions. Up next, a sand chafer was found and ended up finding a passage behind a waterfall by pure accident, but I needed the ability to swim to pass here, so we'll be back. I then paid a visit to Bolsong, where I completed the hot spring quest, got a hat for that, and we became friends. also caught a rabbit suit chafer, and then took it upon myself to make a trip to a new zone in the Central Forest where I met Vino, the swordsman that we heard of from the adventurers, but even he is astonished by our powerful weapon, that being the butterfly net. We are to pass his tests in order to learn his swordcraft, which implies hitting 35 bunnies within a minute. The knight's helmet with the extended sword was a very helpful addition to complete this task, and because we have the knight helmet with extended reach, we managed to beat this on first try no problem. Vino then grants us the manual to his swordcraft, which allows us to double swing for more damage. I then kept exploring unknown territories where we came across some frog statues with a riddle on how to restore the frog statue's eyes. The story goes that one of the eyes was taken by the snake in its mouth and the other one was buried, so I followed the pathway until I found one at the snake head right here. As for the buried one, I'm assuming we're going to need a hat that lets us do that. So trying to figure out how to proceed on the next hour, I spoke to the citizens here who were upset that the park was overrun with weeds, and thanks to having cleared the space for them, were given some of their lunch. After that, I came across a retriever who is looking for paints for Maltese, and to get these fruits, we are given special seeds, so I wasted no time and went on home and planted them, while continuing to explore the Central Forest after, where I met a frog merchant who asked us to bring some fruit to his little brother in Harbor Town. I then, though, ignored these instructions and went further north, where I reached a beautiful zone with orange leaves, where I saw the beetle mentors sitting in a circle, who gave us a quest to reach a sanctuary north of the Road of Proof, that being the zone that we are in. It's also clear that one of the mentors is missing, and I'm going to probably find him in Harbor Town or the ocean. All signs are leading me to Harbor Town though, so I popped on over there, and it's a pretty town where I got to help the locals with minor tasks here and there, and I also found the merchant's little brother and handed him the food. I had a little look around the local merchants and bought all kinds of seeds, some expensive fruit, and bought all 3 ocean-themed hats, but was short on cash to buy 3 more on the next hat shop, so I ended up selling many of the fish that I had caught till now, as well as a bunch of my trash items. I then just was barely able to clear the next hat merchant's stock. And you know, since this is a new biome, I was sure to check out the local fish to get a couple of new species. During fishing, I got distracted by a new butterfly, so our collections are filling up nicely here. You already know I got myself some drawings right after of the town. In the area, I also found some notes of Romeo and Juliet having some love issues. We'll touch up on this later. I also found a fellow named Mutty who wants a dish cooked with only fruit and herbs, and conveniently there is a lizard's restaurant on one side of town and an elephant restaurant on the other, that being from Gordon and Olive, I'm sure. However, neither of them seem to be functional without the owner present, so we need to touch up on that side quest as well if we want to get this place running. As for the center building that looks awfully a lot like my museum, there is a lizard named Esmeralda up front who wants to break in with another animal named Edison, but turns out they're not thieves, they're just very curious as they are real estate agents and antique collectors. Without hesitation, I revealed the secret of the building to them, and thus let them inside, and thanks to this Edison fellow, he brings attention to the statues in the corners of the museum, and he thinks that they have connections to some documents that he has, so we'll stop by his shop to learn more about this later. As for Esmeralda, she wants to manage the museum and open it up to visitors. In preparation for this, I added my new findings to the stands, and collected some new fruits from my garden, which let me plant the new seeds that I had bought. As I returned, I could already see visitors piling in to check out the place, and I'm actually now 1 fruit short of completing this stand. Upon exiting the museum, I saw a poor rhino that was being helplessly bullied, and the only way I could get rid of them was by mimicking their mohawks, and they left because, well, we have superior style. Don't worry, my friend, it's all in a day's work for good old OGU. I then entered Edison's antique shop, but turns out this place is not doing too well because of a lack of funds, and also, supposedly these pedestals, just like the ones in our museum, react to broken artifacts that can help restore them like new, and so he gives us a map where we can find a piece that might be buried somewhere. And to uncover these items, we have to go to Popo of the pottery studio to get the hat for this task. While looking for the studio, I got invited to check out a battle arena though, which is supposedly down this hole. Not suspicious at all. Down here we can see people gathering to watch gladiator type fights, and we somehow get dragged into this mess to participate. In short, we fight and gain glory points, but we can also lose them if we lose fights. But you already know that OGU is no punk ass bitch. We're going to become the champion of the arena, no questions asked. I quickly learned that this fight is not going to be easy though, as fighting is done with very low HP, like 2 in this case. And you have no hat. All I have is my ability to double swing, and it's becoming handy very quickly. Upon beating this opponent, the crowd started to cheer and threw gifts at me, which were very welcome. So, now more motivated than ever, I kept repeating this through all of the challengers. I did sometimes lose, sure, but I just went right back at it, and some of these challengers, though, acted more like boss fights than regular NPCs, and honestly, I was having a good time.
Oh, they're gigantic.
You have to be kidding. That is Diablos. Yeah, that's Diablos. But sure enough, one by one, the opponents fell before OGU. However, on hour 16, I had to face the strongest opponent here, which is the mech, and this is one tough adversary. I died before I even knew what happened, but I think the trick is to make him land on these explosive barrels to stun him, while, you know, ideally not getting burned alive, of course. That's a big plus if you ask me. And just like that, on second try, he was beaten. But I wasn't done just yet. I wanted maximum glory points, so I kept fighting the mech multiple times and ended up switching plans though, because I actually got my butt handed to me quite a bit. So my main adversary to grind this place would be the giant rhino bug, because the fight is much easier and gives similar points. Eventually, I reached the maximum score of 100, unlocking the Arena Champion achievement and also the Gladiator helmet. I also then unlocked a few more cooking recipes by the beach, and while I was at it, made that special recipe for Mutty. I handed it over, and that leads us to get a hat, and it applies the dirty status and decreases enemy speed. That is a quite unique thing on my head there. Still trying to find the pottery studio, I ended up speaking to a turtle fisher who wants 10 pieces of cloth that we have on us, so that's a side quest completed. And I also got to enter the Balloon Express headquarters, and only one of the fellows here didn't have a hat. His colleagues hid it as a prank, apparently. Supposedly, they hid it in the frog park, and we need to dig to get it, so I guess the pottery studio still comes first. I'm assuming the studio is this area in town at the gate, but I can't enter, so I just spoke to the sailors here who want me to deliver a letter. Turns out it's for the pottery studio, so by bringing it there, we get to meet Popo, and he deems us worthy of trying to make some pottery. One of the requirements is the lift ability that we already learned in the Moonlight Village, so we can get started right away. We are presented with this magical menu wheel, and we are shown that many shapes can be made. We're given a drill hat, which is needed to get clay, and clay also comes in different colors per biome. I gave pottery a go, but I kept failing, and it took quite a few tries, but eventually I got one made. As for the letter we brought him, turns out we have to give it to Kenin to return it as it's not for Popo. We approach Kenin to give him the letter, then we start a conversation with him, and he says that there's something suspicious going on in this town, that being that many people live here and there is no trash. There is a company of bears that disposes of it, but turns out they're just giving it to a mysterious group of people, which reminds me of the landfill in the center. As for the letter, it's for the mansion where the bears are, so we'll use the opportunity to hand over the letter, and with that, see what's really going on inside. I wanted to go through the front door, but couldn't, so I had to climb down to the basement, and this place is just filled with trash. After following a long pathway, I stumbled upon some bear guards, who mentioned a place called Thunder Island. They're shocked to see me, but then kind of calm down as they see that I have a letter for them. So they take it and order me to leave. Later, Kenin says that Thunder Island is a deserted island where no one goes to anymore, and it's far south from here. We're going to need a boat to get there, but no one will lend him one. So he'll try and steal a small one, and I should get paddles from a warehouse. But before I continue this questline, I wanted to use that drill hat. I used it to get the monkey's hat that the co-worker stole, and also found the second frog eye, which was then placed into the frog statue, which unlocked the Fable achievement. It also makes for a very pretty drawing too. I then did a lot of grinding to get more clay, and then got into the bug dimension, where I caught a wave chafer, which is the last one of these. So I teleported back home and completed that exhibit right away. After that, I dedicated the rest of the time of the hour to practicing some more pottery. So the beginning of the next hour was dedicated to making all pots on the wheel. In between, I did have to go get some more clay in different biomes, which is when I stumbled across the mad scientist again, from whom I bought some random ingredients I haven't seen yet, and then sank more and more of my time into pottery until I ended up getting the Pottery Master achievement. I then decided to take a peek at that treasure map that we received from Edison and recognized it as the waterfall in the jungle, and it was right there where I uncovered an artifact piece. And since I'm here, I ended up entering a cave that I hadn't seen until now, which is the Cave of Music, where after playing the drums to unlock a passage, I got to the lizard brother that we were supposed to find since like hour 1. He returned back to his brother and I got some loot here and headed back to the Sun Village where we completed this quest and then made the last friend available in the jungle. And I also believe that all side quests are done as well here. And while I'm here, I might as well check on my farm, but ran out of seeds while I was replanting, so I took some time to restock on those. I then ended up buying the entire stock of treasure mass from Edison, and then finally decided to continue the story, so I whipped on my pirate hat, and inside a cargo ship snuck past some guards and stole the paddles, which I brought back to Kenin. And he's got a boat ready to go. The route to Thunder Island is unknown and dangerous, but we will head there regardless. This fine duo of adventurers set out on the open seas, and apparently we gotta use a race-like simulator using ramps to speed up and avoid rocks, whirlpools, and sharks. And that's not even mentioning that the waters became more treacherous the further and further out we went. It seems easy, but I just barely made it to the docks. As the name of this place suggests, the island is covered in thunderclouds, and more interestingly, the beach is in trash. About the only thing we can make out is that there's an interesting cave entrance in the middle. Before entering, I decided to check out the area and found a Balloon Express worker who crashed here because of the storms and needs 3 clay to repair his hot air balloon. Luckily, I have that on me and give it to him so he becomes our friend. I then got a drawing of the suspicious island and then finally waltzed on into the cave, where a couple power gel puzzles were to be solved, and it's absolutely littered in trash. While I'm solving the puzzles here, I read that there might be an ancient fish here too. This place did provide a couple new hurdles like this picture one, but I managed to proceed and then read a note on how to reach the heart fruit here, which is done by simply standing in front of a block for a couple seconds. So I did as instructed, and presto, I am now at a total of 20 HP. I then finished the electric blob puzzle and reached a torch-lit room. It was here where I kicked off hour 18 and had to face this ominous boss.
Oh, what the heck? Okay, Thunder Eel. Very adequate for the puzzles and situations we've been facing. Oh, I gotta watch out for the targets because the lightning connects. Whoa! Ooh. Oh, I'm almost dead. Eat! Eat, Oku, eat! Come back here, you foul, slippery demon eel! Eat, Oku, eat. Good job. Not too bad, not too bad. Honestly, super easy. And we freed it of its corruption.
This eel is a descendant of Enki, the divine beast of the sea, just like that one fish that we saw by the legendary fisherman. This one was controlled by the leftover clan. They apparently used him to make batteries, and likely because of him there's so many thunderclouds outside. All he wishes for us to do is to stop the evildoers, and he will look for his brothers. Now outside, the storm has calmed down, and the sailors are cleaning the beach. With this questline complete, we get a hat that lets us throw fish, and Kenin becomes our friend. Unsure of how to continue, I made a complete detour and ended up at the Sky Island, where I attempted the Rano statue challenge again. See, I had to do a bit of a wombo combo. I brought my health down with my jelly hat, and because my health is so low, the Viking hat boosts my attack, and I also ate a combat root, and all of that, comboed with the fact that I can double hit, was finally able to clear this challenge, and with that, am granted Rano's hat. So I equipped it, and I'm now able to teleport on these circles. I used my time here to not only draw, but also to clear out the northern islands, which was requested of me, which upon completion, granted me another heart apple, and you already know what I did next. I teleported to the desert and got the freaking armadillo totem that I've been wanting for so very long, which in fact reduces dodge roll time by 20%. That's actually pretty good. I then got back to grinding for seeds for a very long time, and during this came across a bee colony. They say that there's a precious honey they want, and it's deep within this cave, so we'll get it for them right after drawing their lovely home. After passing some light traps and enemies, I reached a friendly rock with some flowers on it, from whom I got the precious honey. On my way back out to the bees, I did manage to catch a sky butterfly, and then the bees rewarded me with some jams, and appointed me Commander Bee.
One of us, one of us, one of us.
Up next, I found a crossroad that had a beautiful view of the sacred tree, and then stumbled upon an apple farm where the head of this place wants a map that is in the Village of the Sun, which has special fruit trees marked on it, and he notices our map, and instead of asking us for it, he asks us to check all of the biomes for trees with this paw symbol and hit them 5 times to get special seeds from them and bring them over here. However, for now I went further south and entered the hermit crab village, which is in the final biome, that being the ocean. Here the chieftain seems to be troubled. Some of the villagers are in danger as some went missing after rumors started spreading of there being holes in the ocean. As for the sigil of water that we are after, there used to be a divine beast guarding it by the Western Ocean. That's about all we know. I then began to explore the area as it's my first time here, and also bought out all of the beach-themed hats, and then down here by the docks found the final bug mentor, who wants us to solve this plank puzzle before we continue. After a little bit of trying around, I spoke to the water beetle, and that gives us the ability to swim. I mean, just look, we have a little floaty on us. OGU has never been happier. I even got to put a swimming cap on him to swim faster. This place also had some new ingredients here and there, of course, and of course the villagers need help, like this otter whose brother went missing for some time, and Arthur Jr. misses his dad. So with no other choice, I entered the fish farm as it's on the way to the Western Ocean. I'm sure this area will serve as practice to avoid those holes of the sea that we've been hearing about. On a beach I did find some fisherman notes that I think are from the otter's brother. A giant hole caught him and his crew off guard, is from what I can tell, and supposedly to the north there's a device that blocks the road to the Western Ocean, so we are to unlock that door to continue on. During all of this, more and more fish species were uncovered, and further out got to spot one of these mysterious holes, which of course I took record of. And having activated 2 statues, I was able to head further west now, where I saw a boat being absorbed by the holes and then end up being dragged in myself. I awoke in a water temple where an unknown voice instructs me to head south once I leave this temple. And this place had new things to solve for me, like these light laser puzzles, and after that, a tube puzzle which is only slightly different than the one we faced but still unique in its own right. And so on hour 19, I eventually got out of there and did what the voice told me to do, but then got surrounded by these dark holes again, which is when a manatee named Matty appeared out of thin air and teleported us to safety. It was his voice that we heard in the temple, and Matty here is an acolyte of Enki. He's been saving villagers from these holes ever since God was split into pieces, and it's because everything that happened that the divine beasts began to lose their power, which caused problems in the environment to occur. The holes that we saw are from the evil god, and this is when we are recognized as the hero of prophecy, and so we are told that Enki is likely at the altar of water. To reach it, we need to seal the holes, and we can do that with the power from Enki's hat, which is stored in the temple of the sea god to the south. As for the wounded otters, some had information. One of them met a priest out in the ocean, while another is named Arthur, who is Arthur Jr.'s dad. We are to bring a piece of coral to his son so that he knows that Papa is still alive. During this, I handed him some cleansing drops, and in return, he gave me some snorkeling gear along with his friendship. Also, a fellow named Toby lost his arm to a barnacle monster, and so we are to defeat it for vengeance. A bit further out, a mother lost her twins, which I pushed back to her, reuniting the whole family in a jiffy. This granted us some rewards, by the way. The next thing I did was head further south and reach the entrance of the water temple. Inside, I had to do, as you could already expect, fight monsters and solve puzzles, which upon solving all of them, let water into the temple. After completing the east and west side, I was able to head further down, where I got a bubble shield to help me with the next puzzles, and with one final puzzle room completed, entered the inner sanctum, where I read that 2 mantis shrimp brothers are protecting Enki's hat. Sure enough, we are to beat both of them if we want to get it.
Okay, so I read a little thing on the tablet that supposedly only they can damage each other, I believe. So I think I just need to dodge and weave until they hit themselves. Yeah, here we go, and whoop, let them bonk each other. There you go. This is like the one moment where reading is actually going to save me. I should do that more often, to be honest. There you go. See, that's all you gotta do. Just gotta line them up, and that's about it. That's the whole fight. No problem. And there we go. Easy squeezy. Honestly, not that tough. Not that tough. Which makes me worried that there's gonna be more up ahead, but I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, we are. Enki's hat. Don't mind if I do.
And there you have it. With the power of Enki's hat, I am now able to seal the dark holes by simply dancing on them. So I began to clear out the ocean of all of its evil. Even entered a cave where I found the evil barnacle boss, the one that took that dude's arm.
Leave me alone!
Oh, he's a turret, isn't he?
Woo! I'm gonna tank it. Tank it. There you go. If brute force doesn't solve your problems, you're just not using enough of it.
I then plundered this cave and got a sapphire gem as well as an aquamarine, and much deeper within found a glowing coral pond which serves as a pit stop for these caves. Upon making my exit, I was met with a fish head cave, which inside has a lot of garbage and a new totem that I can see. To reach it though, I need to defeat an upcoming boss, which is a football fish, which summons whirlpool holds and also makes it very hard to see. I mean seriously, my mining hat didn't even help that much, but luckily thanks to sheer skill, I managed to defeat it on first try. Turns out though that it was possessed. This is also a descendant from Enki, like the big eel and the one by the legendary fisherman. He meant to clean the ocean by eating all of the trash, but that kinda corrupted him. He gifts us some medicine and then wishes us a good day. And that there everybody unlocks the Descendants of Enki achievement. We are also able to grab the Totem of Happiness now, which heals us faster when we dance. I then came across a puzzle with these currents and ended up at a temple with dolphin statues. This place is all about recipes, as I could see that some are hidden along with a recipe statue puzzle. I wasn't really sure on how to continue here, so I'm going to revisit this place later. For now, I just kept exploring and cleansing the land along with the sea till I came across a shipwreck, and turns out this ship is cursed with a ghost. But more importantly, there were many recipes lying around here, like how to make pufferfish correctly, or grilled salted mackerel for example, including the recipe on how to make a perfect clam too. At the dining table, I'm able to place a dish, but I couldn't figure out what the ghosts wanted. I did read some books, and I'm guessing that the crew tried to poison the captain and got caught in the crossfire due to improperly preparing pufferfish, and a book reads that per otter tradition, if a sailor dies from a food, one should offer the same food to appease the spirit. So I cooked a pufferfish without an antidote, so it is still poisonous, and served it up as a poisonous platter. The spirits reacted and opened the door behind me while unlocking the Nirvana achievement, and with it, I obtained a diver's helmet in the back. In another wreck, I found tons of supplies and then decided to teleport back to the Hermit Crab Village. Here's where I gave Junior his dad's item, and with that we make a new friend who can break hard coral. For example, this blockade near the Chieftain's Cave. Doing this leads me to a Rano teleport, which brings me to the Totem of Gluttony. That's another one in the bag. To wrap up this hour, I went home and updated my museum's exhibits, and honestly, we are quite close to getting them all done, except for the artifacts in the back though. And you know, since we're on the topic, I got a topaz to start hour 20, and with that completed the gem display. I then went on an extensive seed gathering spree, and during this caught the new snowflower butterfly, the last one for a collection too. I also explored behind the waterfall now that I can swim, where after solving multiple puzzles, I got a catapult hat, so I'm literally a walking tank. And also, there was a boss that I was only able to damage with the catapult hat, and he hit like a freaking truck, and also aside from just hitting like a freight train, shot fireballs all over the place. We also had some freaky spinning arm move that followed me wherever I went. It was a very tough adversary, sure, but he fell before our superior artillery. I even danced in front of his corpse to show dominance. At the back, I was also able to loot a Totem of Tenacity, which improves my critical hit chance. I am definitely going to use this later. I kept using my swim ability to find places I wasn't able to reach till now, which landed me at the Temple of Dance, which was the last drawing of the jungle, might I add. Here I danced my legs off in this circle, but nothing really happened. After some reading of the tablet here, I put on my Infinite Excitement hat, which unlocked the door just like that. Inside, as the name suggests, dancing let me continue. And there were also puzzles, which where you step on the wrong tile, you lose health, but once you know the pattern, it's pretty easy. This led me to a boss room where I got a chest with a special key, and of course, some drum puzzles here too. But fun fact, I am a drummer in real life, so this one comes naturally to me. Easy peasy. Either way, this key let me pass this blockade, behind which was a dance shaman. We have to do a dance battle as he lays down traps where he goes, but all I had to do is hold more dance points than he did, which I succeeded on first try. And as a reward, we are gifted the Hat of Dance and the Totem of Pleasure. I then continued to get a lot of seeds, and another secret waterfall cave was discovered which had the Totem of Protection. Honestly, this seed grinding is perfect for backtracking. I'm finding all sorts of stuff. I then continued the seed grind in the central forest where I found a fruit merchant. These are the reason that I'm grinding seeds, because they're for a display for the museum for completion. Sad thing is though, I don't remember the singular fruit that I'm still missing, so what I ended up doing is buying a red, a green, and blue fruit for the Retriever's paint quest. See, it's kind of a shame because he appears randomly, so I don't know if we'll see him again. I then popped over to the museum and checked which fruits I'm still missing, and since we're here, might as well complete the butterfly display. We are so close to completion, I can taste it. As I returned to the recruitment camp, the fruit merchant wasn't there anymore, but at least I got a jester hat for completing the duck's side quest. I then sold tons of supplies to the merchant here because I was planning on buying all of the hats here too, but it was quite expensive. Only luckily I have tons of golden leaves which help me make some money fast. Once I bought the last hat here, I unlocked the Mad Hatter achievement. I then ran to the Retriever and gave him the fruits that he wanted that we just purchased. That there completed this side quest, and I'm curious to see though what Maltese is going to do with these paints, so I ran to him and turns out we are the perfect model to paint. So we sit still as he performs his art, granting us a perfect portrait, which apparently unlocks the Cool Me achievement. Honestly, we're not doing too bad. We're zooming, we're rolling, we're cruising, we're doing so good. Either way, let's get back on track. I ended off the hour by restocking the farm with all the seeds that we got, which is important. We don't know if we're gonna find that fruit merchant again, and getting the single fruit that we still need is basically still pure RNG. Trying to keep up this momentum on hour 21, I went to the snow biome and found one of the marked trees, which gave me a special seed, and since I'm here, I checked the water areas, which landed me at a penguin island, which had the last drawing of the snowfield. And I personally don't know how I feel about slapping penguins, but this seems to be a puzzle. I'm going to come clean, I did have to Google this one because I have absolutely no idea how to solve this, as I have no reference point on what to do. But either way, that's how you get the penguin hat, and of course the achievement tied to it. Next I went back to Harbor Town, where I swam over to the lighthouse for the first time, where the keeper named Tom says his granddaughter is missing out at sea, so we're to find her. And this brings us to a new zone, where I got the final drawing of the Harbor Town section and found the granddaughter. It wasn't all that hard, and we give her the transport balloon to get back home, so because we have saved her, we get some fish as a reward, and I continue to explore the ocean biome, specifically unblocking coral blockages now that I can do so, which landed us a few more heart fruits, and I also got to speak to Toby, that we defeated his coral nemesis, so he gifts us a squid hat and his phone number. As for Maddie here though, since we have Enki's hat, we are told that the Temple of Water is to the northwest. So I guess it's as good a time as any to hop back on that story train. We passed the currents puzzle that we saw before, and I found a giant fish skeleton. Must have been from a massive beast, but to the north of this is the Temple of Water, which of course I just had to draw, and I gotta say that this place is huge! At the top, Enki appears before us too. It states that the evil god infiltrated the temple, but part of it is sealed now because of the Sigil of Water. We'll meet Enki again when we clear all of the evil within the temple, which will unlock a blocked door. So I got to work solving more light puzzles, same for some music ones, although this one was thematically different. You had to use droplets to play the song correctly. And there were a lot of these puzzles. It was all to light up this main totem in the center, which slowly but surely was happening. Like for real, this temple put me to the test with every single puzzle we've come across here. One of these rooms even had clues onto how God was separated, which upon reading them seems to be the clue to solve this blob puzzle, and upon following its instructions, it was solved with ease. Just like that, all the coins are lit at the center totem, and thus I am granted passage further up, where I had to dance to unseal the main door. Here is where I met Enki, with fully unlocking the according achievement, and he says further ahead is where the ritual took place which separated God. Long ago, this ritual was done to remove bad thoughts from within God's mind, and it was during the ritual that Tao stole one of the fragments of God, one of the sigils, and got corrupted by the evil god. As for the Sigil of Water, we are going to get it if we eliminate the evil god's power from the sea, but we cannot attack it physically. We need to use this floor cannon on it, which is done by dancing on it, and thus, OGU prepares for battle as he witnesses an eye appear from the void. This battle takes place on an oceanic platform, and without further ado, wish OGU the very best of luck.
Alrighty. Where you at, homie? Okay. So we're fighting eyeballs that has fingers on it. How would I launch this? Does it just go... Okay, that is actually not bad damage. I was worried that it wouldn't know how to attack it, but this isn't half bad. However, as you can tell, the pillars are being destroyed in this process. So I guess the trick is you just gotta keep moving and not let the pillars break completely. And it actually corrupts some of the platforms, which is perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I needed. That's the ones I wanted to fire, by the way, too. Okay. Oh, I'm getting sucked in. And what is... Okay, and where did my platform go? I guess those currents are part of his evil doing. There... Oh, yep, there we go. I just had to get it back on track a little bit. I was a little bit distracted. Whenever he hits you, you have to restart your dancey dance. But it's alright. It's alright. That ain't that bad. Oh, goose, that's scared. And boom. Last one. First try, baby. Let's freaking go.
Enki thanks us for protecting the sea, and thus grants us the sigil of water, and also bestows upon us a gift, that being the totem with its power, and offers up a whale to Uber me back to town. Of course, I accept this totem of sacrifice, but before I left, I checked the basement of the temple where a boss was waiting for me, a mass of the evil god's power, which can only be damaged with Enki's dance moves, so I literally danced on him to death. And as a reward for slaying this thing, I got the Totem of Vitality, and so with everything seemingly being done here, I used the whale to get back home. And once I was done face planting from an astronomical height, the chieftain says that the holds in the ocean are finally cleared. And because we were told this, I started to explore the areas like a maniac on hour 22, trying to uncover every single nook and cranny's mystery that I could find. That includes the Temple of Cookery.
Dish prepared with ingredients that turned black on the day when there was nothing but ocean. What the f*** is that supposed to mean?
Because I am new to this style of game, I sometimes had to take a step back and realize that things weren't as complicated as they seem. So the recipe referring to the meadow disappearing, I assume now is that rectangle fish and fruit, because that is with the green light gone. And the second recipe referring to there only being ocean, I assume is the dish made with the ingredients listed when only the blue light is on. I already know that recipe from before, and I just had to guess that the first one was sweet fish, and that did the trick. With that one done, I was granted a shark hat, which summons a tiny little shark to eat my enemies, which till now is probably my favorite. I then stumbled upon an altar where I can deposit fish, and this is Enki's special fishing dimension. Rare fish started spawning left and right, and I accidentally caught one that I already owned, but I'm excited that this will help me complete my fish collection faster. I then explored the southwest in search of the main Enki priest, which was waiting for me in this cove, which also turns out to be the final drawing area of the ocean. The water priest is in charge of keeping the ocean clean, but he wasn't able to do so because of the trash monsters, and because he doesn't know how to fight, asked us to help him to clean up the special statue islands, and then, once we did so, are rewarded with an unlock, the final totem slot. This priest is also the final friend to make in the area, but the excitement doesn't stop there, as I also got one new fish species. Having burned through progress so quickly, I was a little bit stumped on how to continue here. I figured it would be best to simply deposit the sigil of water in the heart of the world, which unlocks the Peaceful Ocean achievement. Only one sigil remains. We've come so far. After all that, I did start making use of the fish dimensions twice. In fact, the fish tanks will be filled in no time, I'm sure, and I also found the last kid at the nursery, even resorted to digging around the place to find him.
You were literally just chilling behind this tree this whole time? Like, bro, get Beybladed.
All that effort at the nursery got me a freaking pinwheel hat. Thank you so much. I don't know what I would do without this. While looking for the fruit merchant, I found a minigame stand to unlock recipes that I will do every time that I see it, since it's, well, easy progress. But I did end up finding the fruit merchant soon after and bought the final fruit that I needed. So I got back to the museum, completed the fruit display, and updated the fish tanks. I then knew what I had to do next for the story, and that was to head to the Road of Proof, where OGU automatically drew all of the beetle mentors that we spoke to. Upon interacting with them, they acknowledge our great achievements, and thus they use their magical powers to open up the freaking mountain before me, which grants me passage further north, after which they turned into statues. And as I pass the mountain pass, I reach the sanctuary with the beautiful tree, where we are tasked to call forth the 3 divine beasts, all excluding Tao. First things first though, this place is gorgeous. That not only does it make for a good picture, it's also the last one in the center forest. To activate each of these, I simply need to dance on the symbols with the corresponding hats, but turns out we haven't fully met Bot yet. Oopsie daisies, that's my bad, homie. So I returned to his last known location, but just couldn't figure out what I had to do to find him. So while I was thinking on what the heck I'm supposed to do for Bot, I went back and handed Tucker his cores to complete his side quest, which is when he shows me a secret passage in his room. He seems to have been investigating the trash god for a long time, so much so that he's making his own trash monsters. I don't know how to feel about that. Either way, that is the cue for a boss fight, which Tucker himself creates, as he seems to be slightly corrupted himself. I absolutely demolished it without even trying, and upon exiting the cave, I couldn't find Tucker anymore, so I went back to the jungle, fished a piranha, traveled to Gordon, and cooked it with a golden leaf, and turns out that this dish for the chef's side quest is actually for Olive, so I ran over to her and handed over this dish, and she'll put the dish on her restaurant's menu. And for having done such a good culinary job, we are to bring a letter of recommendation for us to be chefs at the restaurant. So logically, on hour 23, I went to check Olive's restaurant, and there we hand over the letter to the waiter, and they haven't been able to run their restaurant without their main chef, so we will help them out in running it. I prepared a menu selection and opened the restaurant. Turns out I had to serve food, and rush hour was insane. I only got 2 out of 5 stars on my first try, so I kept going for the high score on the second attempt. I had 4.5 stars. It was so close! So very close. But third time's the charm. I got 5 stars, and that is the chef's achievement. It's all mine. And all that cooking must have jogged my memory, since I remembered to bring that hat back to the monkey. And that's not all. I returned to the central cave system, where eventually I got back to this weird puzzle that I never figured out. This might have to do with helping the divine beasts, I thought. I still couldn't figure out what to do, but I managed to get into his secret room, and turns out it's from Kupu from when he ran away from the Sun Village. I left this place again, and then remembered that I read in Bot's temple something about a heart on top of a mountain top, something along those lines. So on the way to find such a place, I caught a new carp, almost completing the fish collection, and I was back at the Bat Temple then. The only thing I could do is figure out the statue puzzle. The only clues that I have is a mural that mentions places of trial and statues that need numbers on them. One under it has a symbol of the sun, the other of fire, and the last one has the symbol of the moon. So I checked the fast travel menu and saw some places had bot symbols, so I teleported back to each temple where we found sigils. And I gotta say, this investigation took me for fucking ever. All I could see was a total of 2 skulls of bots on big tablets in the jungle, and by the Temple of the Moon I could see a total of 4 constructed statues of bots, and by the Fire Temple a total of 6. So I put the number sequence at the puzzle in Bot's temple, which unlocked the chest, but it didn't help me at all to continue the story. So I had a lengthy look at the map, and there's one clear mountain next to the heart of the world. So I teleported there and checked it out. Bot Cave is right here. It's been here this whole time. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I'm just a little bit disappointed in my stupidity. After spinning the discs around for a bit, I solved this room, reaching the mountain peak, where I found the Totem of Vigor, and then danced like my life depended on it, which created a magical pathway to Bot. This unlocks the Divine Beast of Earth achievement. He asks if we know of the origin of the rainbow feather that we have. It supposedly belongs to God himself. This mountain is also where Bot came into being, and it's still a mystery to him why Tao committed his betrayal. Slowly, the forces of evil are being freed, even with them having sealed Tao away, and we must do everything that we can to prevent him from ruling this world.
Okay, yeah, seek Rano, the divine beast of the sky, and Enki, the divine beast of sea. I'm sorry, my boy. I did end up finding them before you. I kind of was slacking on your quest line. That's my bad. I'm sorry.
Now that I met all the beasts, I returned to the sanctuary, where I danced on each symbol, unlocking the main doorway. But first, the divine beasts show themselves together. They say that preparations are complete, as we hear Tao screaming from behind the gates. They also say that they know that Tao only stole the sigil of the tree because of being manipulated by the evil god and had fused with him, so they encourage me to simply put an end to this story by defeating the evil god And thus, with all that being said, the door opens up for us. The final battle to cleanse this world of evil is beyond that gate. However, on hour 24, I still had to finish up a couple of things in this plane of existence, that being some achievements, so I had to grind all of the artifacts, of course, to complete the museum, starting off with the ones in the jungle till I was done, and there's about 4 per biome. So once I was done here, I updated the fish tank, and I'm super close to completing this, but also got to complete my first statue, that being of Enki, and that there warps me into its memories. We see the separation ritual kind of taking place, and apparently Tao has been oversharing information with creatures, and the trash god is from another world, and out of freaking nowhere, the barrier breaks, and Tao just swoops in to steal the sigil of the tree. Once I was out of that, the next grind was at the Moon Forest. I got a carp here too, all of the artifacts, and I'm burning through balloons as I'm doing this, hopping and hopping and hopping between each zone. I was now able to complete the next statue, but no memory from this one. It seems to be only from the 4 main ones. I then went to grind out the desert for its artifacts, and in a portal here, got the sunfish, which is the final one that I needed. I also got all of the artifacts here, and then went over to the museum and completed the fish tanks. That's just so satisfying. Also, more statues got done. Either way, my artifact grind led me to the ocean biome, and I was zooming through this place until I was all done. That there also got the statue of Bot completed, which also got me its memory. The memory is from after sealing Tao away. The beasts spoke to the bug mentors that we've come across, and apparently because the trash god is a being from another world, a being from another world needs to defeat it. And this is when also the bugs were assigned to mentor the coming chosen one. Up next, I went to grind out the snow biome until again, all the artifacts were done, and then at the museum completed the Tao statue. The memory of this one is that he was lectured often by God for sharing too much information with the creatures and just can't understand why that's a problem. This is when the voice of the evil god begins manipulating him, that God apparently is jealous of him and makes Tao steal the sigil and makes him think it's a good thing because he can just put it back later. Oh, sneaky little deity it is, huh? The grind continued on hour 25 as I stocked up on balloons and did Harbor Town artifact grinding next until it was all done. There was also some random artifact locations like at the Monkey Cliffs, and once I was done there I hopped over to do some at the Sky Island, but here I also got the last totem of lunacy. I can't believe I've missed this one, but that's all of them collected. Once the artifacts here were done, I popped on over to the Central Forest and grinded all of the 4 here until this section was also cleared. I deposited all fragments, and with that the Rano statue is done, but not just that, the museum is finally complete. Every single exhibition has every single obtainable item, so the magical door unlocks for us, revealing a bright glow from the back, and also this gets us the Collector achievement, the one that I am rightfully the most proud of. The Rano memory then kicks in, and apparently he spoke to Tao. He gave fire to the shrews and then gets scolded for speeding up civilization in doing so, but that's about it. I have more important things to do. That magical door is calling my name, and upon entering it, apparently Tao ordered for this chamber to be made, and Gogo had been instructed by him to help the hero with information. Here we got the Tao hat, as well as a heart apple and limitless satisfaction. I bought a space floor up next outside, and then kept looking for the paw trees for the special seeds because I need a last friend for my collection, so I'm doing side quests left and right looking for the final one. During this search, I did get poisoned in the Moon Forest, and I saw a Plague Doctor mask right there, but first, I hopped on over to the Mad Scientist, put on my poop hat to be dirty, ate all of the foods to get all states on me, and completed the side quest, but still, I did not get a friend out of this, so I popped on back to get that Plague Doctor mask, which makes me immune to poison and honestly is perfect for me, and then found a paw tree in the Moon Forest. Apparently, you can see the paw symbols on the map, so now that I know this, it'll go incredibly fast. I wasted so much time trying to overthink this. I got all the seeds, needless to say, in a flash, and brought them over to the apple farmer, got a heart fruit from it, which I am thankful for, but still not the final friend. I needed to take a step back on hour 26, so I went on a cooking spree to fill the recipe list for an achievement, and a quick tip: calling friends helps to learn about more complicated recipes, but the majority of them are very simple combinations, like use tier 1 of this with a tier 1 of that, use tier 1 of this with a tier 2 of that, use a tier 1 with a tier 3 of that, and so on. It's pretty straightforward. Also, to complete the recipes faster, it helps to just buy foods at stands, because that adds it. I had to do some grinding for ingredients at the ocean here and there, and entered a shack that I missed, apparently. I found the dead otter brother from that one side quest, and the last heart fruit from this area. That there is the otter side quest done, as we had to bring the bad news, but still, no new friend to complete the friends list. So I went back to unlocking recipes left and right, and waste food conversion did help me to get another on the list done. And this is when I also called a Moonlight villager, there got the Western cuisine recipe told to me, and made it for Gordon to complete his side quest, just like we did for Olive. But still, no new friend! I have no more side quests to beat. I was so confused, like I had no one to even talk to anymore to my knowledge, so I just continued cooking and made actually really good progress on it because I sunk a lot of time into this. I was cooking straight into hour 27 until I went to go investigate the Romeo and Juliet side quest. The notes are clues, and from what I read, Romeo is madly in love with Juliet, but thinks that Juliet's brother is in fact her boyfriend. It's just a huge misunderstanding, so he never really confessed his love for her. So I dug under a tree and found the true love letter of Romeo for Juliet, brought it over to her, cleared up the misunderstanding in the process, and Juliet gives us a heart cookie, which I bring to Romeo, and just like that, the side quest is complete as they found their love for each other. The Cupid achievement was obtained in this process, as well as a heart fruit, but no new friend. There was 3 people involved. It was Romeo, Juliet, and the brother. Not a single one! So I just kept cooking and ended up walking across the map to get into fish portals for ingredients, and entered Maltese's house during all of this. And since we have all of the drawings, he hangs them up in his house. That unlocks the artist achievement, a painter hat, and the last friend on the list. Finally, the social butterfly achievement is done. I'm so relieved. I then checked the progress of each region in our book. All are complete except for the story in the Central Forest, and I'm missing a single heart in the snow biome, so I went to go check over there. I searched forever until I finally spotted it in the bear base. And again, this is the second thing and last thing that I had to Google on how to actually get past. Apparently, you need to use the campfire hat to warm up the blockage. I don't know how to tell that, but either way, I got through and now have a whopping 30 HP. I then did some more grinding for tier 1 fish, cooked them up, and I'm missing a single recipe to complete the list. Looking in the recipe symbols list, I see that it's like 2 stacked steaks. So I grind some more tier 1 fish, cook them up, and presto, it is done. The gourmet achievement is finally mine. So, what else is there to do except for the final fight? Well, my lovelies, I went to the desert to grind fangs from these bull beetles and garnets from the rocks. Note though that because I met Bot, I'm able to now offer up rocks at the summoning circle site and teleport myself into his own little pocket dimension where I can pick and choose the rocks that I want. Still a little bit of RNG, but it gets the progress done a little bit faster. I was happy to see that all 10 fangs that I was after were actually completely collected at the end of the hour. The garnet grind still remained for hour 28, so I was busy with that, and also got to kill some of the worms for the first time. With that, all mobs in the book are slain, except the final boss silhouette, but we'll get to that shortly. I got a total of 3 garnets throughout this process, and with that went home, where I upgraded the spike helmet. It's red now, and has a larger damage area. In my mind, this hat is insanely good because not only are you invulnerable when you dodge roll, but you actually up your DPS in doing so. Also, side note, I made my room look like the Void, which is quite pretty. Either way, I was preparing for the boss fight.
Hey, I think we are about as ready as we can be for the final fight. When it comes to the build, and yes, I can't believe I'm saying we have a build for OGU to beat the evil god, but here it is. So when it comes to the totems, we have the first one here, which allows us to dodge roll 20% more frequently, basically, which goes very well with our spiky upgraded helmet to deal damage while we are immune. We just increase our DPS that way. That's at least how my brain thinks. After that, most of the totems are based on critical hit. So Totem of Tenacity, every 8th swing is a 100% chance to be a critical hit. That combos well with Totem of Vigor, so every critical hit, HP replenishes by 1. And then comboing yet on top of that, whenever we are in an excited status, we have a crit chance increase of 10%. Now, how do we keep excited status up if we aren't dancing? That's where a lot of my foods come in, actually. So this yellowfin tuna steak, for example, it heals for 50. I don't even have that much HP. I don't even know how you get to that much. But that's 135 seconds off of 1 eat of excited status. And there, I have 2 of those. This one here, the steamed sunfish, even increases my damage, which is probably a better choice. 135 seconds there as well. There's a whole lot of them that do amazing. I think we'll be fine. I have enough food. I have so much food. And I think we should be good. And if you look at our hotbar at the left bottom there, I have not a cleansing drop, but a bubble shield. So we have usable one-time negate damages on us in the hotbar. So I think we should be good. Honestly, I don't think we can get much better for the final boss, really.
As I'm heading over to the Sanctuary for a fight that will be remembered for the ages, I do want to thank all of our lovely patrons and YouTube channel members for supporting us every single month. Your support is never required, but deeply appreciated, as it helps in many ways, like getting this new model, and more importantly, a motion tracking suit very soon that I'm so excited to unveil in coming videos. So again, sincerely, thank you very much. Now it's time to proceed into this gate. I entered this cave and the bird appears. It leads me deeper within, and of course I follow it, but without me noticing, from behind me, White Bird appears and follows us along as well, so can't wait to see what that's going to entail. Moving on, this cave has ghoulish faces on the walls that react to me passing. It seems to be long abandoned, and I have to use all of my skills learned from our adventures to get through. At the end, a boss portal appears from under the bird, so you already know it is now or never. I ate food for excitement boosting and to get to full HP before entering, and without further ado, let the show begin.
Some magical chains and whatnot. Oh, there he is, Tao! Poor baby! Got the sigil on him, too. I knew it wasn't a good idea to steal the sigil and run away. Yeah, you knew better. You knew better. The evil god is still intertwined with his mind. Still trying to manipulate Tao to basically take the throne of God, which obviously would be for the evil god because the evil god is inside Tao. So, yeah, not gonna happen, by the way. I haven't thought about it until now because my mind was clouded. But who exactly are you? It doesn't really matter because we're going to beat the ever-living hoo-ha out of you. The barrier outside is weakening. Oh, that is the face of Nightmare right there. You don't belong in this world. Yeah, neither do you, bucko. Did God send you? Ridiculous. Oh, Tao is trying to break through with his own voice for us to run away. Okay. Don't worry, buddy. I'll save you. I'll save you. No problem. Don't even worry about it. Oh, seal. Oh, whoo! Seal Tao. Whoa. Okay. Let's start with those bubble shields, shall we? Okay. Do you see that? The crits are helping. You see that? The heal procs from the critical hits, and we damage whenever we dodge roll. And we can dodge roll more frequently. We're doing so good. Whoop. No, you don't. Whoop. No, you don't. Oh, he's brought the firebolt for backup. Honestly, I think the build matters. I think the build for such a fight matters. Oh, he's got that cool vine attack too. Dude, we are freaking immortal with this setup, bro. I don't know what I was worried about. Oh, he's changing colors. Hold on. Laser beams. Touch. Who needs to heal when hitting the opponent heals you? We're a freaking vampire. OGU is a vampire. Oh,
You gotta eat. Those lasers actually are the real firepower. Boom. Okay, okay. What are you gonna do now? I beat you. Like, we're good. You brought the hands and everything. He has a second phase, doesn't he? But you won't evade this one. Does he have, like, a final nuke? Oh, whoa, whoa. Yeah, okay, I'm on 1 HP, and he knocked away my feather. And we're about to get decimated. But our buddy saves the day. The power was coming from that bird. That's my boy. That's my main man. But why do I sense it from the bird and not from the sigil? I see you're the bird that entered the cave when the barrier broke, just as Tao was stealing the sigil. During that ritual, you must have received a part of God's power. Oh, he's a sneaky little one. I'll absorb your power and devour this entire world. I don't think my buddy has plans for that to happen. Okay, maybe he does. Honestly, he might. Yeah, okay. I spoke. Buddy. Okay. That does it. That does it. He ate my bird and became a bird. This is the god's power I've coveted for so long. Honestly, he looks freaking sick. The world shall be mine now. I'm a bit confused. This was supposed to be the final fight. He cracks open from the bottom and tears through it. The entire world bears witness to the evil god. Is gonna corrupt absolutely everything. Oh, oh, there we go. I'm alive. I'm up. Follow the traces of the evil god. So how's this gonna be? Like, all of my friends in Goku style lend me their power or something? Commander Poco! Alright, let's go, 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 go! Get my back, homie! I gotta go! I got more important things to do! Back me up! All our friends are here. That's insane. Arthur Jr. coming in with the Shell Bash. Oh, he's here too. Yeah, every single person came to help out. That's lovely. Of course, the Silk Moth hero coming in. And the Mecha Shrew. Gotta love it. Oh, that's so sick. They're holding the line. Whitebird, you son of a bitch! I didn't think I'd see you at the end of the world. Don't tell me that Whitebird is gonna come in clutch. I stuck into the cave because it seemed like my stuff wasn't here. Just shut up. Now it feels like 2 of my stuff are up there. I'll fly you up. So help me find my... Uh-oh. That's not good. Don't you die on me now, Whitebird. That's the scary eye I saw at the ocean. Don't you die on me! Does Whitebird have MC plot armor? I think also I have the power of my stuff within me. We're just got the MC plot armor. I'm not the main character. It's been Whitebird all along. Broken flash step? Okay. Okay. Yeah. What are you... Oh, are we getting a special hat? Enhanced Adventurer's hat. Blessed by God. Whoop. 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 Oh, that is sweet. That hat is awesome. All right. Let's do this, Whitebird. We shall face the foul demon together as brothers. Avoid attacks while preparing to teleport. Oh. Whoa. Oh. Okay, so it's literally the end of the world. Boom. Alright, cool. Okay, so I guess we just have to dodge and weave while clearing all the hearts in all the zones. which is easier said than done, by the way. Oh, here we go. Where is it? Where is it? Where's the glob? Where's the glob? There it is. I see it. Oh, literally, it's like every attack we've seen in the whole game is coming at us right now. Can I eat? I don't think I can eat. Oh, that might be a problem. We're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad. Oop. Desert. Okay. Oh, there it is. All right. Not a problem. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. I am being defeated? That's impossible. Well, you see, with OGU and Whitebird on the side of good and justice, you never had a fighting chance, buddy. Whoop! Although this is all gonna be very embarrassing in case I don't beat this on first try. Now that I think about it, I'm talking a whole lot of smack. All right, done and dusted. That one was the easiest one. I'm on 7 HP. We're cutting it real close. Oh no! Whoa, whoa. Honestly, that menu has killed me in this game more times than I would like to admit. That menu has killed me so many times. All right. Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. Doing an infinity symbol here is not too bad to avoid the majority. I'm gonna keep that strat up. All right, snow one down. We're back up to par to where we were. Infinity symbol. Infinity symbol. That's the trick. That's the strat. Yep, no point of damage taken on that try. Just throw a whole house at me? Excuse me. Now, if I were the heart of a possessed deity, where would I be? Up. I guess right here. That'll do it. That'll do it. All right. Lift me up. Oh. Hero achievement unlocked, and OGU and Whitebird slay the possessed divine beast. I feel bad for Tao. Oh, okay. Okay, that's normal Tao falling down now. Okay, I guess we beat the evil within him. We arrive at the heart of the world, and Tao's still alive. What in the world have I done? Yeah, no. You've done a lot. You've done a lot. And Whitebird got his stuff. But thinking about it, I think you should have it. You've been gathering my stuffs at the heart of the world, right? There's only one left now. Place it there. Okay, the sigils of the Divine Beast aren't yours, my friend. Okay, I appreciate you giving it to me, though. With all that being said, without further ado, here we go. Harmony achievement done as well. No. No, wait. Whitebird is literally part of God?
We get teleported into a new dimension that looks like heaven. God was with us this whole time as the beasts and birds, but fragmented, of course. Now, though, is whole. We follow him around, and he goes on to explain that he created everything out of nothingness, and the evil god was drawn to this abundance and wanted it for itself. God was prepared, though, for the evil god's arrival and seeked us out to beat it. And his choice was very specific. See, souls can be corrupted in many different ways, so not everyone is the right choice for this task. OGU, however, is pure and selfless, who finds joy in the adventure itself. That is why OGU is the hero of prophecy. Now back out of that dimension, everyone is here to send us off, but we do get handed some harsh truth. To make sure that no other evil entity can come back into this realm of existence, all ties need to be cut. Not just dimensionally, but also to us, in the sense that we won't remember this place or anything that we've experienced, but they will remember OGU forever. As I was ready to say our goodbyes, I noticed that Tao was still quite saddened by everything that had happened, so I put on his mask and put on a show for him. This dance consolates him, and that there gives us one of the final achievements. Now then, it's time to say goodbye. God will take us home in the form of light balls. Together we fly across the skies and get to see all of the friends that we've made and places that we've seen. So many memories that are about to be lost. We then enter the gateway from where we once came. Next thing we know, OGU wakes up in the forest at night and skedaddles on back home in a rush. Mom was worried, of course, but is happy that we're back. Together we take a bath and are asked about the adventure, but for the life of us, we just can't remember. But we do see people celebrate us as the hero that saved their world. This is when the credits roll. I'm so glad that the developers reached out for me to try this game, and honestly, I had a relaxing and joyful experience with this, much further away from the stressful gaming experience that I've dealt with in some other 100 days. It was very refreshing and a change of pace, and honestly, might have changed my views on gaming to a certain degree. So, with all that being said, I highly recommend that y'all try this game out for yourselves, as the day that this video is posted, a new patch is out that improves combat by adding better dodge mechanics, improved critical system, better collision handling, and more. And of course, a big thank you to Sinkhole Studios themselves for sponsoring this video. After the credits are done rolling, we see OGU drawing vague memories of his dreams. It's of God and the friends, so I guess part of it is still in the back there somewhere. But yes, that there gets the final achievement. With that, 100% of them are obtained. And with all that being said and the adventure wrapped up, I want to thank you all so very much for watching, and I will be seeing you very soon. So take care now. Bye-bye.